Why has Triple H been so successful? Why is Triple H running WWE better than Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard on Monday and Friday night? Long-term booking.
Guys, thank you so very much for joining us right here on another Tuesday night. This is episode number 39 of Tuesday Night Titans. It is Tuesday, March 12th, 2024. I am your host, JD from New York, as always, joined by my co-host and very good friend on Tuesday nights, Mr. Andrew Baydala. What is going on, sir?
I'm it's WrestleMania season. I got a question for you. Am I only your really good friend on Tuesday nights? Because that's the way the intro is.
No.
Like it.
No.
Listen, happy to be here, obviously.
This guy texts me, by the way, more than I actually have fucking friends from high school that I still talk to on a regular. I hear from him more than I do them.
Hey, man. You know what?
Which I like, because as we get older, man, I feel like the relationships that I have are kind of disappearing right before my very eyes.
A lot of them, even with my friends, are kind of non-existent, dude. It just is what it is. Some people are just completely full of it. And, I put out a tweet a long time ago. If you're lucky, you could, count on one hand how many real close friends you have. Stop calling people. Stop texting people. See how many people reach out to you.
I know. It's something that I actually struggle with now that you mentioned that quite often, especially around the time of my birthday. It's like, how many people actually care, It is what it is, man. Getting old sucks. I turned 42 this year, but yeah, I hear from this guy quite often. I'm very appreciative of his friendship, and thus this show, man. We got a lot to get into tonight.
We do. We definitely do. Raw was something. I really haven't said much about it. You're going to hear all of my thoughts right here, right now, live on TNT. And talk about some AEW stuff. Let's talk about how I felt AEW dropped the ball with Sting on one aspect, but
we'll get into Okada too. I know Okada was a topic of discussion with a bunch of clueless hacks on social media, which is always the case. I absolutely adored the debut of Okada. It did so many things right, and it set up 4 different things that a lot of these people who just love to hate AEW for the sake of hating AEW, they set up so many different aspects that we're going to get into tonight from that one segment.
Yeah, again, I think Tony has a lot of things going for him, but I will say heel Okada is something I think Tony is going to knock out of the park.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see it. So we'll see.
Yeah, we're going to talk about big business. We got big business on Wednesday night, tomorrow night. I think we all know what is coming there. They're teasing it. Tony Khan teased it. Eddie Kingston teased it. Mercedes Moné is going to be debuting with AEW. I'm stoked.
No.
Really? I know, man. It's crazy.
Breaking news, everybody.
Like we didn't talk about that back in fucking November. I'm excited about her arrival. I think the term game changer gets thrown around a lot, and a lot of people tend to make fun of people like me and people like Drew for using the term, but there is only one Mercedes Varnado. There's only one Sasha Banks. There's only one Mercedes Moné. She's going to do wonders for that division, but it's not all going to rest on her back, and we need to really get into that tonight as well, because with the debut happening tomorrow, it's not just Mercedes that needs to step up, and I know she will because she always does if she could stay healthy. It's the creative team and Tony Khan himself. So we'll get into that, and we got news on Vince McMahon, which we will get into. But
yeah, your Mercedes point was well spoken though, and a lot of people do use that term. They throw it out, game changer. Somebody who's going to do things that nobody's ever done before. But Mercedes is that for AEW. And for all of the people who I saw being like, oh, Mercedes is just someone who's going to collect a bag from AEW and then go back to WWE. I hate to tell you, but that happens a lot in the wrestling business, number one. And number two, okay, AEW and Tony Khan would be absolute morons if they didn't take the chance and go sign or be a player in those negotiations to get Mercedes, because Charlotte Flair's not walking through an AEW locker room anytime soon.
No.
Neither is Becky Lynch, neither is Bianca Belair, and neither is Rhea Ripley. And right now, AEW just, I mean, we're 24 hours away, signed one of WWE's biggest stars. So
who do you guys label the best player in baseball? It could be anybody. I mean, it's
Right
Ohtani,
now?
Acuna, right? Mike Trout. That'd be like Mike Trout hitting the free agent market and then nobody
Yeah,
going
good
after him.
example.
It's like I don't give a shit where you got to conjure up that money. You're gonna fucking at least make an attempt to go bring him into your lineup. It's like it's so stupid to not even take a chance on that, and that's what Tony Khan didn't do. He said, "I want her." Negotiations fell through with WWE, and then he secured the bag. So she's gonna be a big deal.
Yeah, and AEW is going to put everything behind her. I think AEW is going to make her the top priority in the women's division, which they should. I think her and Toni Storm is a match that everyone will be clamoring to see the program. I'll be clamoring to see that as well. AEW could sign whoever they want and offer these massive contracts, but it's all about the booking.
Yeah.
Cash and creative is all that matters. And AEW's got tons of cash. Now let's get the creative straight.
So we're going to get into all that, guys. But before we do that, first, I want to let you guys know that we have a new intro coming. It's coming very, very soon. I feel like before the end of next week, we'll have a new intro. And then, obviously, I'll do the promotion for it and teasing for it. So I can't wait for you guys to see that.
You can tell things are changing here. You see the lights. You see the new cameras. We got a new intro.
Yeah.
Listen, get on now, because when the show starts taking off and we're somewhere where guys can't watch it for free. I'm only kidding. We're not going to do that. But I'm just saying, listen, we have loved the support since day one. And JD and myself do nothing cheap.
No,
nothing.
No, wait till you see this intro, guys. I'm over the moon about. I can't wait to show you guys what DV8 Designs has created for us. You look at the other bedroom streamers and content creators that don't put anything into their podcast. I mean, wait till you see this thing, man. Just the simple fact of this intro will blow everybody in this community away. It's going to be crazy. Very excited about that. Very proud of what Drew and I created here. So it's gonna really show in that intro.
If I may, there's a lot of content creators out there who give you guys a ton of content because that's what their job is. I mean, it's very simple. I will say that I haven't really paid attention to a lot of people. But I will, more recently, I'll check in on other people's streams and stuff like that, because it's always good to see what your competition, quote unquote, is doing. JD, in my opinion, spends the absolute most and gives you the absolute best quality because he cares about not only what he puts out, but what you guys are watching on your television stream. The Love Fest is going to end soon because this is a debate show, but I will tell you that JD is probably one of the most giving back to his audience in terms of what he gives, graphics, intros, music, all that stuff. He spares no expense.
There you go. It's going to show. Hopefully you guys enjoy what we've created here in the next week or so. I can't wait to show you. Also, Drew, I'll leave it up to you, man. We got a TNT Tailgate Joe WrestleMania tailgate party happening on Sunday right before night 2, early in the afternoon. Time still to be determined. Why don't you let people know where they could get tickets? I actually pinned the comment at the very top of the live stream chat with the promo code, so you guys can save a couple of dollars on your tickets. So go and check that out. But Drew, tell them about the tailgate coming in just a few weeks.
Yeah, so Saturday, April 6th and Sunday, April 7th, we will be live in Lincoln Financial Field in the parking lot. Across the street will be the stadium that is hosting WrestleMania. We are doing a live tailgate. When I say live, it means on Saturday, we're going to have live talent, signing autographs, taking pictures, whatever you want. It's included in your ticket price. Thus far, we have announced OVW's own Cal Hero, WWE ECW, and OVW owner, Al Snow. He will be there Saturday as well with Cal Hero. And we announced AJ Francis, also known as Top Dollar, WWE TNA superstar now. Those three gentlemen will be live and in living color on Saturday, April 6th at Lincoln Financial Field at our tailgate, TNT, Tailgate Joe, Tailgate. And then on Sunday, April 7th, myself and JD will be hosting a live episode of TNT, breaking down what we saw on night 1 of WrestleMania and what we predict will happen on night 2, and taking live questions from the people at the tailgate. We'll also be taking pictures, whatever you want. But I want to stress that we are announcing more talent within the next couple of days. Don't wait on the tickets, because although Al Snow, AJ Francis, and Cal Hero are major names, we're adding one more major name to this, and it's going to sell out instantly. So get your tickets now while you can.
There you go. Follow us on social media for all the updates on that, including what happens on this show, guys, at JD from NY206. That's Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Cameo. Go follow Drew on X as well, or Twitter, at Andrew Baydala. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on the bell for notifications, and get your super chats in. Drew and I will hang out at the end of the show, as always, to go over any comments, questions, or concerns that you may have about anything that we have put ourselves through in the last week as it pertains to professional wrestling. And make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. Let's try for 1,000 likes. We got over 2,000, heading towards 2,100 in here and still counting. Thank you guys for spending your Tuesday nights with us here on TNT episode number 39.
JD, they say my volume's low. I don't know if I'm talking low or my volume's low, but I'm talking my normal cadence here.
Everything is good here. You're in the red on my end. I don't know what everybody's doing. Raise your volumes, geeks. Raise your volumes.
And I am handling all the booking of the talent, just so we're all aware in the comments. So please, enough with the I can't wait to see JD and Top Dollar. There is no beef. I can promise you that. And I'm the guy handling all that stuff. So
maybe if you pay a ticket, Top Dollar will body slam you live on stage. I don't know.
There you go.
Maybe,
but I can tell you. Yeah, I could tell you that I'm in charge of booking the talent, and we are excited to have everybody there.
What you will not see is me and Top Dollar rapping at all, because I just make a fool of myself. But
there you go.
Drew, I'll leave it up to you, man. It's slowing down a little bit since the press conference, I would say, dating back to the press conference in Las Vegas for WrestleMania. It slowed down a little bit, but I will leave it up to you, man. I know we got a few major topics to go over tonight, but where do you want to start?
I would like to start with last night's Monday Night Raw.
Okay.
I know you did a show on it, but it's topical, and I want to talk about that. Then we could talk about maybe The Rock and some other things and how they're building WrestleMania. Let's talk about one thing I thought was an absolute miss from last night's Monday Night Raw. We'll start there. Is that tag team, 6-team ladder match. I hate it. And I don't like it. I hate it because, in my opinion, they had so many opportunities, they being WWE, to make a singles match or get the championships off of Judgment Day's Priest and Balor. And now we have 6 teams in a ladder match. The match is going to deliver. There's no doubt about it. But I think the money, in my opinion, and the emotion and the payoff is all in R-Truth vanquishing these bullies. And now we have 4 other teams involved in it. I hate it.
Yeah, I actually made a big topical discussion, I would say, on my Monday Night Raw post show last night. First of all, I want to get this out of the way because I just hate illogical booking. And for the sake of everybody thinking that I ride Triple H's coattails and I'm a Triple H mark and all this other nonsense that you see spewed around on social media from unintelligent people.
I don't think coattails is the word that they use.
Well, I understand. I'm keeping it PG.
Why?
I don't really, because it's people tend to think that I am pro one company and anti the other company, and I can't fucking stand it. I give equal criticisms to both companies, and I gave a lot more criticism than I usually do to Triple H last night because he's the one to blame here. First of all,
we are an equal hating opportunity here.
I want to make sure you guys are aware that everything that he does not hit. Imperium wrestled the New Day. I don't know if it was last week or a week ago, 2 weeks ago. I'm terrible with fucking times. But there was a street fight that happened between the two teams. Fucking great match. One of the best matches that you'd see on Monday Night Raw this year alone. Imperium won. The New Day was in a graphic on Monday Night Raw last night. They are wrestling, I believe, the Alpha Academy. They're wrestling Tozawa and Otis to try and advance to this WrestleMania 6-team scramble ladder match. First of all, before we even get into why this match should not happen and what they could have done better, why are the New Day there on Monday Night Raw or trying to represent Monday Night Raw when they lost to Imperium? Does anybody have an answer to that question? Like, what have they done?
The booking was convoluted on that one, but continue.
So we got New Day and Alpha Academy. We have DIY and the Creeds, who have not been on television at all since they wrestled the Judgment Day for the tag team titles months ago. And then we have the other teams are Miz Truth and Indus Sher, who have not been on television at all since they called both Sangha and Veer up from NXT. So obviously predictable next week. You see who's advancing to WrestleMania. I would assume that the Judgment Day would make the fourth team because they're the champions. Then we got Tyler Bate, Pete Dunne from SmackDown, and I'm assuming they're going to put the Street Profits in on that side as well, or it could be the Street Profits or AOP, depending on which way Triple H wants to go. 6 teams in a ladder match, Drew. That's 12 men. It's going to be fun. Don't get me wrong. It's going to be chaotic. There is an injury waiting to happen, I'm assuming, coming out of that match with so many men, bodies in a ladder match. But I don't understand why the WrestleMania card is shaping up the way that it is when you said perfectly, and we have documented and almost predicted it almost week by week for the last month and a half, R-Truth and Miz against the Judgment Day for a tag team title match on top of everything else that's happening on this show. It doesn't need to be the standout match of the night or the weekend. It doesn't need to be a top-tier match on night 1 or night 2. As long as the story was there and you built sympathy for R-Truth, that was the direction to go. 10 out of 10, much rather see a 2-on-2 tag team title match with a title change on night 1 or night 2 instead of 6 teams convoluted in some fucking car wreck just for the sake of getting everybody on the show, because I said it doesn't resemble what Triple H usually does. Triple H is more simplified. It honestly feels like a Vince McMahon thing, and I feel like Triple H still has some of those Vince McMahon tendencies in him, and I think he needs to get rid of them ASAP.
Well, I mean, to that point, Triple H sat under the Vince McMahon learning tree for so many years. Now he has his own spice cabinet, but he's going to have a little bit of Vince McMahon's flavor because that's what that's the teacher he was taught from. So we'll give him a little bit of grace there. I will say this: the pay-per-view days are done for WWE. So the necessity of getting talent on said show just because it's a residual check are gone. So I don't understand why we have to just have people on just for the sake of having them on. I will say this. I get you want your talent to feel, hey, I'm on WrestleMania this year. And this match is going to, as the kids say, hit. It's going to hit. There's no doubt about it. I don't need to pretend to be hip. The match is going to, I say slap. The match is going to slap.
Or it's going to be cinema, Triple H is cooking, whatever the fuck whatever you guys are using now.
And here's the other thing I want to, before we get into this. What drives me nuts is like, yo, H is cooking. Nah, H isn't cooking. The performers are cooking. Yeah. Okay. Triple H gives them direction, but man, they got to go out and perform. So give the performers, the talent, both male and female, their flowers. They are cooking. All right. The ladder match to me just is how many people can we get on this card, which I understand. It's good morale boosting for the locker room and everything else like that. But the main thing here was Damian Priest and Finn Balor losing to R-Truth and R-Truth overcoming those bullies. And it's just a moment. In wrestling, I've said this a million times. It's about the money and the moments. And right now, just like cash and creative, they kind of go hand in hand. But I'm just saying they dropped the ball with DIY. They completely dropped it because they could have had R-Truth and Miz win. And then on WrestleMania, they could have had a tag team gauntlet battle royal or something on the pre-show where the winners get a tag team title shot the next night on Raw. Okay. And that would have been fine because realistically, there's so many teams in this ladder match that should win, but won't because the main focus and the story, since we're all talking about stories nowadays, is Damian Priest and Finn Balor losing to R-Truth and Miz. So these other teams are just there for spots. I don't like it. I don't.
See, this gets my brain rolling now because on one hand, we're talking about Triple H putting 12 men, 6 tag teams in a match just for the sake of getting everybody on the show. And we know that pay-per-view residuals are a thing of the past. WWE's got the subscription service on Peacock. They don't really pay their performers the way that they used to back in the day when we had to pay $49.99, $59.99 for a pay-per-view like AEW's current model. We sit here and say Triple H is putting everybody on the show for the sake of getting everybody on the show. Meanwhile, I said for 2 weeks going into this gauntlet match last week and then last night again, I reiterated it. Why didn't we take that same mentality with the men that you put in that gauntlet match to wrestle Gunther at WrestleMania. And we're going to transition into that because
Don't even get me started on that.
It was the highlight of the night, and we'll go over what Drew and I think about Sami Zayn and Chad Gable. But my point is, at the end of that match, we all saw Sami Zayn walk out the number one contender. He's wrestling Gunther at WrestleMania. Don't get me wrong. I'm over the moon about the match. I love the match. I love both guys. I love all three guys, including Gable. Fantastic professional wrestlers. Some of the best on the roster. But now what you've realistically done is take Chad Gable's story and then, once again, put it on the back burner for Sami Zayn because he's the bigger star compared to Chad Gable. And you're actively leaving Chad Gable and everybody else that competed in that gauntlet match. Now you're leaving them off of WrestleMania. So what I said was, why don't we already are using the 2-night format for the main event with Rock and Roman and Cody and Seth Rollins. This tag team match,
this tag team match not the plan.
No. So they pivoted, everybody's favorite word. They pivoted to have the main event of night one be this tag team match, which is directly going to affect what happens on night two. Why wasn't that same mentality brought to the Intercontinental Championship? Because as far as I'm concerned, Gunther has slayed everybody for 641 days.
Hold on a second. Explain that to me. Why does the tag team title match have anything to do with night two?
I'm trying. Let me make my point. We're putting Triple H booked this tag team match to get everybody on the show, but he didn't take that same mentality with the Intercontinental Championship. Meanwhile, he should have, instead of the tag team match, applied that logic to the Intercontinental Championship picture. He should have used everybody in that gauntlet match in a ladder match on night one to see who wrestles and fights for the right to wrestle Gunther on night two, because it not only would have gotten everybody on the show, but it would have made the chase for the IC title that much more epic, because whoever had to win that ladder match is already behind the 8-ball and the underdog going into a match with Gunther. And the story of overcoming that would have been so much greater if they did end up winning the title from Gunther. Now they realistically left everybody off the card, and people are saying, well, maybe they made a mistake. Triple H made a creative blunder here by choosing Sami Zayn over Chad Gable. And that's just another topic for, a completely different segment here. But how do you feel about them leaving all those men off the show, Drew?
Yeah, so I don't feel as if, realistically, if you were like, okay, we're going to do night one, whoever wins, that gauntlet gets to night two to face Gunther. I don't like that, because it becomes something where you're running too much of a risk of somebody getting hurt, blah, 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 all the variables. And also, you're having so many people do double duty already. Like it's already this year's WrestleMania. If you go back and look at it, it was Punk and Seth. It was probably Drew and Sami.
Yeah.
It was Rock and Roman and Cody versus who knows, truthfully, who the hell knows. Okay. So it just didn't work out that way. What we see now from last night is, I hated what they did with the tag titles, but we'll digress from that. I loved how they put a lot of sympathy on Sami Zayn and how they made Sami this complete, underdog who overcame all the odds. But here's my problem. I said this to you guys in January. I said on this show, Sami Zayn winning the Intercontinental Championship does nothing for Sami Zayn, because nobody wants to see him win the Intercontinental Championship. You've seen it. Everyone wants to see that man win the main championship, whether it's World Heavyweight or whether it's the Undisputed. And he ain't beating Roman, so we can forget that. What we have now is a position where Gunther and Lesnar are no longer wrestling at WrestleMania due to unforeseen circumstances. Okay? So they're like, all right, well, who are we going to put against Gunther? And Gunther is taking on Sami Zayn because it's safe, and Gunther's going to beat Sami Zayn. There is no doubt in my mind. Now, if they add Gable to this match and make it a three-way, they could have something where Gunther didn't get pinned to lose the Intercontinental Championship. But I'm telling you right now, what last night was a miss for me, because although they gave a ton of sympathy to Sami, and Sami's got his WrestleMania match, albeit not what they originally planned, he is not beating Gunther, nor should he, because I will tell you, Sami Zayn winning the Intercontinental Championship does not have the same equity that a Chad Gable winning the Intercontinental Championship from Gunther would have. And I'm not quite sure that the WWE is so keen on having Gunther take an L before he wins a World Championship match at the Bash at Berlin. Just me.
Yeah, I said this last night. I've been advocating for Gable after that match in September where he lost to Gunther again and they made the story about his daughter crying front row. I said, I can't wait to see this match. Book it at WrestleMania. Give it a 30-minute Iron Man match stipulation or something along those lines. Have Gable go over. Then, all of a sudden, they dropped Gable from the face of the earth. They never went back and told that story. They had him lose to Ivar, and they had him lose to Nakamura, and he was in tag team matches, losing to Imperium. And, I mean, what happened? Where did they drop this? Why did they drop this for 4 months? So now, all of a sudden, you want me to believe in Sami Zayn, and I believe in Sami Zayn fucking 10 times out of 10. I love Sami Zayn. But if you're asking me which story I'm going to go with, it was Gable. Then they dropped it off. Everybody was on Sami Zayn's side. I'm like, all right. Then all of a sudden they want to bring in Chad Gable again and have him cut these really well-done vignettes, these sympathetic vignettes on social media, one of which they aired last night. And now they want to include Chad Gable in the WrestleMania story, all because it's WrestleMania. Again, Triple H dropped the ball because where the fuck was Chad Gable for the last 4 months? If you don't believe in Chad Gable and you don't really want Chad Gable in that spot and you're pro Sami Zayn, that falls on Triple H. That doesn't fall on Sami Zayn or Chad Gable. Where the fuck was he? And why when we saw him, was he losing? So not only is he a loser, but they kept him hidden for 4 months and now all of a sudden conveniently want to bring him back because it's WrestleMania season. That doesn't really make a sympathetic figure to me. So now what they did last night, they gave it to the wrong guy. They booked the gauntlet match the wrong way because Sami Zayn was the one who fucking ran most of the gauntlet and then ended up winning in the end. But it should have been Gable who went the gauntlet and lost in the end. It should have been Sami Zayn who came out last, not Chad Gable. How ridiculous do you think it looks with a fresh Chad Gable who can't beat a fucking Sami Zayn who just got tsunamied off the top rope by Bronson Reed? I mean, it's fucking ridiculous.
I just think what a lot of people aren't taken into the equation, and I think, unfortunately, in this situation, you're one of them. They were never going to have Gable take an L at WrestleMania to Gunther. Gunther's also not taking an L to anybody at WrestleMania this year. So what have they done? They've put somebody who just gained a bunch of momentum and Sami Zayn, who've kind of overcame all the odds, only to have his eventual comeuppance be completely crushed by Gunther. And that's what's happening at WrestleMania 40 in Philadelphia, because Gunther was never losing any match he's in at WrestleMania 40. There's a reason they didn't put him against Seth Rollins, because they could have done that. He is not, and they're not, willing to right now. It seems like Seth and Drew is the plan, and it's going to be that way. They could have pivoted to Gunther. They didn't. But Gunther is not taking an L anytime soon, and that includes WrestleMania. So why put Gable against Gunther? You don't. If you put it in a three-way, the Intercontinental Championship, you can make it work, because then Gunther technically was never pinned. But if they keep it a singles, be happy, because Gunther is not losing that match. And if you guys don't want to see Gunther lose, then you better pray that they keep it a singles.
Yeah, so that opens up a whole new can of worms with what you just said. If they add Gable, which we got 4 weeks, they could fucking add Chad Gable next week or the week after that and still make a story out of it, because they did have him cut a 5-minute, 6-minute promo as a WWE.com exclusive where he was dejected. He didn't know where to go, and he's not asking for another match. He doesn't want to be, someone that's handed scraps. He needs to work his way back. If Gunther gets put in a triple threat match with Sami Zayn and Gable and they take the title off of Gunther that way, I'm going to be more pissed than everything else that I just addressed. If Gunther's going to drop that championship after 650 days or so, by the time we get to WrestleMania, it's going to be, near 700 days. He needs to drop that title one-on-one, and it needs to lose clean. He needs to lose to somebody. What do you mean, why? You don't want him to be pinned? At that point, I would rather him just be pinned and then move on to the World Championship and win Money in the Bank.
Here's what I'm going to tell you. Okay. And I'm going to tell everybody watching this too. If Cody loses at WrestleMania 40, then I think we see Gunther taking 1-2-3 L, or drops the Intercontinental Championship in a 3-way or a 4-way somewhere down the road before we get to Money in the Bank. If Cody loses at WrestleMania, Cody wins, you'll see Gunther take an L somewhere, because Gunther's your odds-on favorite to win the Money in the Bank. If Cody loses at WrestleMania, you got a fucking problem. because Cody is going to win the Money in the Bank and call his shot.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen. So there's a lot that goes into this WrestleMania. There's a lot that goes into Gunther's match. There's a lot that goes into Cody's match. But I can tell you right now, Gunther, in my opinion, the reason they went with this match is because they have not pivoted, the word of the year, from their plan of Gunther walking out of WrestleMania 40, still holding the Intercontinental Championship. Because I believe that Brock and Gunther were going to have their match for the IC title. Brock's never won it. He could be this giant roadblock. And you know damn well Gunther was going over in that match.
Yes.
All right. So they're not pivoting from that plan. Gunther, whoever he steps into that ring with at WrestleMania 40, Gunther is not going to be looking up at the lights. He's not. If it's a 3-way, 4-way, so be it. He doesn't have to get pinned. Maybe we do it. But I'm telling you right now, Gunther is not losing at WrestleMania 40. He will not be the one to either take a pinfall loss or submission. And if Cody loses at 40, all bets are off with Gunther. All bets are off.
All right, if Gunther beats Sami Zayn at WrestleMania, which I am predicting happens, I don't think Sami Zayn should win the Intercontinental Championship, not only for the reasons that you addressed earlier, but I do think...
It does nothing.
And I said this, I've gotten to a thread on social media months back with Ibu from Wrestling Purists. I said, let me try and book this fucking year out. I envision Gunther being the world champion walking into next year's WrestleMania. I'm envisioning Sami Zayn winning the Royal Rumble. I won't even do this match this year. This is why I was pro Gable after last night. Sami Zayn versus Gunther should be next year's WrestleMania main event on night one or night two for the World Heavyweight Championship. That's where he should overcome his, I want to be a champion. I want my underdog story. I want my Bryan Danielson. Right? Yes, I'm talking about Sami Zayn. I want my Bryan Danielson story at WrestleMania. That's the right place and right time to do it. I would have given it to Gable this year, but we're not heading that way.
But JD, that's where all the emotion is. You watched Sammy's promos on Raw, and we talk about storylines and booking and everything else, and WWE does take a while to get there at times. But Sami was talking about winning the big one. The Intercontinental Championship, although Gunther has made it a big deal, is not the big one for Sami.
Well, his dialogue switched when Brock Lesnar and the plans for Lesnar and Gunther changed.
Because he has no choice.
Yes. So I ask you, if Gunther, which I do think he will beat Sami Zayn at WrestleMania, do we potentially get Gable and Gunther on the Raw after WrestleMania in an IC title match? Because that's been another narrative, and I actually pitched that last night. If Sami Zayn doesn't do it, maybe Gunther gets one more shot at Gable and gives him another shot just out of sheer pity, and Gable wins it on Monday Night Raw.
What was interesting to me is that Gunther was announced for one of the international events that WWE is doing. So to me, that signals that, hey, all this stuff that has been reported about Gunther not being able to travel overseas due to visas or everything else like that, whatever it may be. I don't know. I'm not a detective. I don't really scoop into that type of stuff. But I will say that WWE Backlash in France needs a major main event. And slowly but surely, if you could build Gable and Gunther into something where because it's got a lot of people's attention. If you could kind of keep that pot simmering and then eventually boil at Backlash, I'm here for it. That could work. But again, it's all going to matter. I know it sounds crazy, but the Gunther story and the Cody story are very much intertwined. And if you don't see it, you're a moron. I'm sorry, but you are. If Cody wins at Mania, all right, Gunther's probably going to drop that Intercontinental Championship on his way to winning Money in the Bank. Or he could just roll into Money in the Bank, win it, and call his shot, and then vacate the Intercontinental Championship. Because he's calling a shot at Bash at Berlin.
Which I would not mind.
Me either. But I will tell you, if Cody loses at WrestleMania 40, he's winning the Money in the Bank. Those are just my predictions. Now they could pivot, obviously, but that's how I see it. Because Cody is winning the world. He is beating Roman Reigns between now and I would say December of 2024. Cody Rhodes will be the WWE Undisputed Champion. I don't know when we get it. It might be in April. It might be in October. It might be in November.
Listen, if WWE wants to get you talking, they're going to end WrestleMania the same way they ended WrestleMania last year. It's crazy to even think about, but it is a possibility. It's not something that we should just scoff at.
Almost made me choke on my water here.
It's something that should really be brought to the discussion, no matter who's predicting WrestleMania or previewing WrestleMania. It is something that you need to give some highlight for sure. Gable did have the better story. We're getting Sami Zayn, Gunther. The WrestleMania card right now shaping out to be Sami Zayn, Gunther for the IC title. Jimmy versus Jay basically is all but confirmed. Roman versus Cody. Got the tag team match on night one. Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch. Then we got Io versus Bayley. The tag team scramble match. I don't know what else they're going to put on their show, but...
Well, you got to figure Bianca
and Jade potentially. I pitch maybe going after Damage Control for the tag team championships, or we get Bianca and Naomi after what we saw on SmackDown, because a lot of people were highlighting that Bianca may be in the beginning phases of turning heel.
Some bald jackass or bald asshole
Really?
said that. Yeah, he's said that Naomi and Bianca might be tagging up. People were like, "Nah, he's stupid. No, why would you do that? Stupid. They don't know. No. Well, I mean, where's Bianca headed right now? Truthfully, and Naomi is mine. There's nothing. She has nothing going, and realistically, Jade and Nia Jax have nothing going on either. So give me Nia and Jade in that moment, the immovable object, all that other stuff that we've seen before, and give me Naomi and Bianca winning the tag team championships. I'm here for it.
Obviously, that would leave Tiffany Stratton off the card, but I don't really think that's a big deal. I love Tiffany. So does Drew. Everybody loves Tiffy time, but
why not Tiffy and Liv singles match?
I mean, I could see it on the undercard if they want to do that. I mean, I have no problem with that. I don't know.
Well, the men are doing.
Liv ain't going over. I'll tell you that right now.
No, and the men are doing a six-man ladder match, scramble, whatever we're calling it nowadays. I mean, the women's tag team titles could be defended in a three-way or even a four-way. You know, so I mean, they could figure it out.
So WrestleMania is shaping up to be, depending on who you talk to. I don't know if you like WrestleMania this year, the way it's shaping up compared to last year. It's all subjective. I posed the question to you, Drew. I know television hasn't been bad for WWE. Friday has been star-studded. It's been exciting. It's been less than at some points because of the time constraints on Friday night on Fox. But do you feel this WrestleMania 40 season is delivering, or has it been underwhelming to you? Because I feel a lot of people feel it's underwhelming with the build that we've been getting.
Well, I'll tell you that sold out arenas and ratings are telling you that if you feel like it's underwhelming, you're just
creatively, not fucking money wise. Creatively,
oh my God, no. I mean, got a myriad of injuries. Like, enough with the charade. All right. I mean, seriously, you guys are just like ridiculous. Everything is not good enough. Like, I mean, there's a hole in the boat. I mean, ain't that a hole in the boat? WrestleMania loses Punk. They lose Lesnar. They don't want Cody or they don't want Rock and Roman, so they pivot there. Like, you guys are unpleasable. So I think we're done trying to please you. WWE is, and I think this is what they should do. They should do what they're doing, and the card is not underwhelming at all. You have one of the biggest tag matches ever, and if you didn't complain, we would have saw something different. And you have, Damian Priest with that Money in the Bank briefcase still looming. You have Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins probably on night 2. I mean, it's all but confirmed for the World Heavyweight Championship. Punk's probably going to get involved in this year's WrestleMania. You have Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch. You also got your Cody and Roman match. Like, what more do you need? Look at last year's card. If you really break it down, the tag team title match was the only real wrestlers match besides Edge and Balor, which was a spot fest with blood and everything else like that. I was talking about this with Blake Mitchmore this afternoon. If you look at this year's card and last year's card, this year's card blows it out of the water. So what are we complaining about? What?
I don't know. I mean, it was just a feeling from a lot of different people. I felt it last night. I felt like
people are fucking stupid.
After Monday Night Raw, with the Raw that we got last night, it was very women's match heavy, and a good chunk of the Raw show was one half women's matches, the other half a 40-minute gauntlet match for the IC title, number one contender. A lot of people are feeling like, we got The Rock and Roman and Cody and Seth, but have they? I guess we can pivot to that. Is everybody's favorite word. What did you think of Friday night? I mean, have you become any more excited about what we've seen? I know Rock, we talked about Rock last week as he saved WrestleMania. I mean, he's done a fucking great job at fixing the plot holes and giving people direction in this story outside Diarrhea Dwayne from Seth Rollins. But after what we saw on Friday night, are you feeling a little underwhelmed that we're not getting more? Because that was my point on Friday night when I did my stream. I want more. Like, I love the segment. The star power is there. We're all hungry and fucking thirsty for more of these guys in the ring. And it was the first time all four of them were in the ring together. I just felt like everything felt rushed and they dropped the ball. And then with the slap heard around the world, it's like they went right off the air and it didn't linger. It's like, what the fuck? What the fuck did I just watch, man? I just want more.
You know what they should have done? That's the whole point, you fucking knucklehead.
I know. I said that on Friday. I said exactly what, because they want to squeeze the juice out of this fucking orange until 5 weeks from now. I get it, but bro, you got all four of these guys in the ring at the same fucking time for the first time since Vegas, and that's the segment you give us?
You know what they should have done? They should have just had the tag match right then and there. That's what they should have done, because then you guys would have been happy. I mean, what did you expect these people to do? I mean, but all right, so what are you doing? You are clamoring to watch SmackDown on Friday.
Bro, we got 15 minutes of fucking entrance.
Like, that's what you get.
What am I watching?
What do you mean? You make it sound like this is brand new. When Taker had a match at Mania, they would drag it on.
That's WrestleMania. It was 8 hours of WrestleMania. I don't mind a fucking 20-minute Undertaker entrance.
No. The build to WrestleMania with Taker was always like, do you remember Shawn Michaels and Taker? Since that match was everyone's favorite, Shawn had to, like, not the first one, the second one, even the first one, Shawn had to, like, kind of do some things here and there. But the second one went on since January. Then he went into the chamber, super kick Taker. And then it took another 2 weeks for Taker to be like, all right, fine, you can have your match. Like, what did you guys want? You know what? Let's have the tag match right here on SmackDown. Fuck the pay-per-view. Forget WrestleMania. We're just going to do it right here. No, he smacked him. He built anticipation onto next week's episode because it's weekly episodic television, and that's what you guys are getting. And it's perfect. It's the old WWE, WWF Attitude Days and WCW. We'll see you next week, folks.
Bro. That does not apply here to this story. I don't care what you said. It doesn't apply here. Rollins has been treated like a fucking fourth wheel bitch in this entire story.
Not on Friday. Not on Friday, he didn't.
You thought what his rebuttal was on Friday was enough for Seth Rollins to come back and go at Rock? I mean, he started, and then they fucking cut his balls off.
Well, first of all, no one's getting over on Dwayne. Like, even Cody, what you guys don't see is Cody does these things on television, right? But when Dwayne gets on social and does his thing, you want the shovels the shovel prints that Cody's got on the back of his head and back are massive. I mean, I know they talk and everything else like that, but The Rock has, completely, like,
he's blowing everybody out of the water with his social media shtick.
Right, but he can't do it on TV because they're on Fox.
But then the other guys don't get no time, though.
We're on Dwayne's time, pal.
Come on, man.
Telling you. And I did think that Seth had some, I would say he got some of his juice back, because you're right. For weeks, I've said it. Seth looks like a goofball. And I think Seth got some of his momentum back. But it's not going to be at the expense of Dwayne or Roman.
All right, what about this? When Cody says, well, Rock, you say you're my boss and you have the power to make this match and this stipulation. I don't really see that being the case, because he alluded to somebody else being back there that runs the show and makes those decisions. I don't really answer to you. But
that was interesting.
And that was my point. One of my points on Friday night. Don't you think that was the perfect leeway to get Triple H out there after Rock laid down the law here with this stipulation in this match? Is he making the match? Am I supposed to think that Rock is I understand that he is, theoretically, but Triple H called him out on television 3 weeks ago. Where the fuck was he? That was the perfect opportunity to have Triple H in that segment on Friday.
Again, I think you're getting to that. I mean, we have, like, what, 3 weeks, 4 weeks until WrestleMania? And I think everyone wants everything because we're an instantaneous gratification society. Everyone wants it now. I get it. But I think The Rock has done this one too many times now. And Triple H, Paul Levesque will be appearing on television very, very shortly. I can confirm that. But I will tell you that The Rock saying, Cody, if you lose, you're not getting another shot, blah, blah, blah. I don't think Triple H is going to allow that. I don't think that's a stipulation that's going to stick. Triple H has allowed, due to The Rock's board status, has allowed The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, to make a match for WrestleMania with stipulations. But The Rock doesn't get to call all the shots. And that's where Triple H is going to step in. Also, there is a story within a story within a story for all you story geeks in this whole thing. It is the evil maniacal bloodline with a board member against WWE with Triple H as the chief content CCO. Okay. And he gets to make the matches the authority figures. So don't forget Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce, because they're going to have to band together to get rid of this bloodline that is running roughshod all over WWE. And that's coming.
I hope so. You know, I understand why they did it. It's one of the first things I said on Friday night. They're looking to squeeze the remaining 4 weeks out. They don't want to give everything away. Fine. We'll see what Rock and Triple H, do in the weeks to come. We'll see what Rock and Roman say and do on Friday. I know WrestleVotes, I believe, alluded to a Rock concert happening on Friday. Do you have any info on that on Friday in Memphis? Is that where we're headed here? Is that something that's going to be announced late in the game here before Friday?
No, I think if The Rock announces, like if they're going to do that, the building's already very well sold. People are already tuning in because The Rock could literally take a dump in the middle of the ring and stick a bloodline flag in it, and people are going to turn in. I mean, that's just how it is. So, and I don't mean to be crude, but that's the truth. So, what's going to happen is if that's going to be the way that they do things or they go about things, The Rock will get out of his car, whatever car he's driving that day. It's going to be Ford. And he will probably have a guitar with him. But there will be no announcement. Maybe The Rock does something on social media saying, hey, I got my guitar handy. It's Memphis. We're going to have a, rock concert. That's possible for sure.
Shifting gears to one of the other members in this tag team match, Seth Rollins. He cut a very emphatic promo on Drew McIntyre last night. Drew McIntyre still the topic of discussion. Is he signed? Is he not signed? What's going to be his status following WrestleMania? He's done the best work of his WWE run as far as I'm concerned. Still manages to call out CM Punk, control CM Punk every week on social media, live on Raw. Where do you see Rollins going into this? Because this has also been a topic of people in the community as well. And I know Rollins is in that tag team match on WrestleMania Night 1. Do you see him? And last night was actually the first time that he's actually made reference that he's defending the championship against Drew McIntyre, because his priority has been The Rock, Cody, and defending the WWE from the bloodline. So last night was like a first this WrestleMania season where he's actually acknowledged Drew McIntyre. Is this going to be his downfall? And do you see Seth Rollins and Cody losing this match on night 1, ultimately leading to Seth Rollins losing that world championship on night 2? How do you feel? How do you maneuver Rollins' status at WrestleMania?
Well, if I was betting on wrestling, which I can't and I don't, I would say that, yes, I think the bloodline wins night 1. I don't see, which I've talked about ad nauseum, I don't see how you get the returning Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson in a WrestleMania ring with a match and he's going to eat a pinfall loss. And I don't see how you burn Roman's equity and have him take his first L in a very long time in a tag match with Cody and Seth. And I will tell you this, if Roman or Rock take an L on Saturday, watch out for Sunday, because he ain't losing twice. Okay? That's all I'll say. So I think for all you Cody crybabies that The Rock called you, the Chicken McNugget Army, whatever The Rock is calling you nowadays, you do not want to see Cody and Seth win on Saturday, because, boy, you are going to be shitting bricks on Sunday, because I can promise you that Roman Reigns is not losing both matches back-to-back in WrestleMania.
Absolutely not.
Pray for the latter. And the other thing that they've made a story within a story is Seth Rollins has completely ignored Drew McIntyre. And yeah, I do believe that World Heavyweight Championship is coming off of Seth Rollins by either Damian Priest or Drew McIntyre. Yes, I do believe that to be the case.
Where do you see Punk fitting in? Because I know Punk is going to be and has been announced on that March 25th episode from the Allstate Arena in Chicago for Monday Night Raw.
That was much ado about nothing. He was never removed from the advertisements. He was never removed from anything. WWE just put out a press release and released more seats because everybody gobbles them up and they could print money. CM Punk was always going to be at that show unless the guy was like bedridden or his arm had to be chopped off. He was always going to be at the Allstate Arena in Chicago, Illinois. Okay. He was advertised for the Barclays Center. They pulled him from that as soon as the injury happened. Okay. So we could stop with this shit.
Is he going to have a role at WrestleMania? Though what you said was probably the case. Is he going to have a role at WrestleMania? Because obviously, if he's there on the show, he's going to be in something with Drew or Seth on commentary. Is he going to be a host? Is he going to be a commentator? Is he going to be a special guest referee? Do you see him having any role at WrestleMania in that match?
So I think it would make perfect sense for Punk to either be the host of WrestleMania or he could be the special guest commentator. I don't think you get a referee. I mean, you could, but I wouldn't. I think there were plans to maybe have Kevin Hart be the official host of WrestleMania, but now Rock's heel. So is Kevin really going to come out and be aligned with The Rock as a bad guy? They could play off each other because in movies, they don't like each other, blah, 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 blah. You could save me with it'll still work. I just don't know if Kevin's available, nor if WWE is maybe willing to pay what Kevin would want. So I know there were plans for that. So I think CM Punk as a host could work. Yes. But I think he's involved.
Anyway, that Punk is involved. I give a thumbs up because I genuinely miss him on television, and hopefully he's making a speedy recovery for sure.
Yeah.
We're going to shift gears to not WrestleMania, but what WWE has coming in the pipeline for their PLEs. As announced today via Logan Paul's podcast, SummerSlam is coming to the great city of Cleveland, Ohio for the biggest party of the summer. It is now official, and they will be taking SummerSlam into Cleveland at the Cleveland Browns Stadium on Saturday, August 3rd, 2024. I know you were not shocked by this news. Why Cleveland, Drew?
I think Cleveland has a lot. First of all, I know a lot of people don't think this, but it is a good location. And what WWE has done, and I'm not talking about it's not Miami. Okay. We all know that. It's not Los Angeles. We all know that too. But if you watch, WWE has taken SummerSlam and put it into destinations that are quote unquote unattractive for travel. And they're getting paid by these cities and states to bring these events there, because really that whole weekend will circulate around WWE, and WWE will generate massive business because everybody is going to come into Cleveland for SummerSlam and that weekend. So basically what they've done is they've used SummerSlam as kind of like a launching pad to basically own a city. And they've done that. Now, while Nashville a couple of years ago, the attendance was not great because there's a lot of shit to do in Nashville. I've been a couple times. It's fun. It's real fun city. But you go to Detroit or Cleveland, and there's some gems in Detroit, just like there's some gems in Cleveland. But realistically, it's basically WWE City for those 2 days. That's what it is.
So WWE now, the pay-per-view calendar, at least for the main roster, is looking like obviously WrestleMania, April 6th, April 7th. Then we got Backlash May 4th. Then we got Money in the Bank on July 6th. And Bash in Berlin is August 31st. So WWE is giving us 2 PLEs in the month of August. So SummerSlam and Bash in Berlin at the Mercedes-Benz Arena in Berlin, Germany, also taking place that month. So
and we can call that what that is. WWE is being petty with AEW All In.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that, we shift gears to Saudi because a lot of people are making Saudi out to be, when they're going there, who's going to be there? Is Rock going to be wrestling there? So WWE actually has I don't know if they have a date, but they're looking at May 25th, Drew. Dave Meltzer's reporting that the plan right now is for May 25th for their return to Saudi Arabia. That would be the day before AEW Double or Nothing, which is usually held in Las Vegas. So you can plug that in. And Backlash May 4th and then Saudi May 25th. So 2 pay-per-views in the month of May, 2 pay-per-views or PLEs in the month of August. So WWE double dip in there.
Yeah, they're both, internet, like 3 out of the 4 are international. So it works. And yes, that is the rumor date for Saudi. I could pretty much, say that that's what's going to happen. Unless, they push it back a weekend or something like that. But again, there's a lot of things that go into that logistical wise that I think that's the date. And I will tell you this, there's another major announcement coming very, very shortly on WWE's behalf. And that's WrestleMania right here in the great state of Minnesota.
Which I will get to in just a second. One more Saudi note. I know WWE is potentially pushing for Rock to wrestle a match in Saudi Arabia. I don't know how much that is on the truth side. Is it WWE or is it Saudi Arabia pushing Rock to wrestle a match over there? But Meltzer wrote, when asking if Rock will be working that show, we're told that there are a lot of variables in play and a variety of factors, but obviously the company would like it if he could. But while nothing is set in stone, the belief as of right now is that Mania won't be his only match this year, and there is definitely a push to get him to work at least one Saudi Arabia event this year. That's obviously coming from Dave Meltzer, so please take that with a grain of salt, as he's been more wrong than right.
Hey, Dave, I would almost make a bet that The Rock works SummerSlam as well.
So, yeah, I mean, Saudi, I mean, you got to take it into consideration. And me, you know, obviously I know it all comes down to business first and foremost, but if Rock comes out of WrestleMania and the bloodline is still intact, who is Rock wrestling in Saudi Arabia in a one-on-one match? Realistically.
Well, I mean, if we keep this bloodline intact with The Rock, I think you could easily do Rock and Rollins. I think that and you could possibly do Rock and Cody, but I think they should save the Rock and Cody for Slam. But I don't know the general direction coming out of WrestleMania. I don't think a lot of people do either. And I don't think we will know until that main event on Sunday has concluded. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. I will say that it has been something that Saudi has wanted for years, to have the Rock's involvement, along with, having John back, John Cena. John worked the first one and then took himself off until the very last one, which was Crown Jewel.
I think so.
Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So John Cena was very much against heading to Saudi Arabia. The Rock has had that same stance. And I think The Rock now might have softened that stance due to board involvement and his availability in WWE. Because, you work WrestleMania, you work all this other stuff. They're probably going to ask for you. And it's a deal that was struck before the merger, long before the merger, but it's a deal that's very profitable to WWE's bottom line. However you view it, blood money and whatever, I get it. Okay. But at the end of the day, it's very profitable to their bottom line. And I think if the right words and dates are used, The Rock will be there.
I agree. We'll see what happens. Hopefully it just makes sense. And things being so tied together closely, hopefully it's not convoluted. But we'll see. As long as Rock is in the ring, he's healthy, and it makes sense storyline-wise, I'm okay with it happening. Speaking of WrestleMania 41, which is the big rumor of Rock Roman actually taking place at next year's WrestleMania, Minneapolis officials dropped big hint about hosting WrestleMania 41. Now, going all the way back to 2015, Minneapolis was rumored to host WrestleMania, including 33 in 2017, but Orlando, Florida got that honor. Instead, it is believed that WWE should WWE go to the city, they would host it from the U.S. Bank Stadium, which is where the Minnesota Vikings play. It's an indoor stadium that holds 73,000 seats. Although the front runner has been in Minneapolis, there have been some rumblings about it possibly being in Vegas, which was a big talking point coming out of that press conference that WWE did this year. On Thursday, the Minnesota House of Representatives passed a bill and brought up the sports grant bill during a meeting of the House Economic Development, Finance, and Policy Committee. This is where Wendy Blackshaw, the CEO of the Minnesota Sports and Events program, stated that they have a third event we are almost ready to announce, and they hope to announce it in the next few weeks, as it will provide an economic impact second only to the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you've kind of alluded to it with some GIFs on social media as well. I think you kind of have an in as to what's going on here, Drew. I think we're all but confirmed for next year for Minneapolis.
Yeah, I mean, I knew about this a couple weeks ago. I would say maybe even a month ago. I will say after the press conference in Vegas, when they didn't announce the day afterwards that WrestleMania would be there, 41, I believe Minneapolis, and I was told that Minneapolis was getting WrestleMania. It was just, hey, wait till they say something where it becomes obvious. And then when this, whatever the meeting was that talked about this, it was kind of like, well, it's out there. So, and I had it before that, but it's out there now, and that's it. I mean, I would be shocked. We were, I say we, but the city was very close and the state was very close to obtaining WrestleMania and securing WrestleMania, like you said, years prior. And I believe whether it was the Vikings owner or somebody else at the time had kind of screwed the pooch. This is a different regime. I think Vince was pissed at that time. And I think Orlando upped their bid. And like you said, 33 went there, or maybe it was 34. I don't remember exactly which one it was. But yes, I do believe WrestleMania will be here in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And I believe Rock and Roman will probably headline. But Vegas is very much in the running and very much in consideration for a future WrestleMania. I think it goes 41 here in Minneapolis. I think 42 goes to Las Vegas.
Why didn't they do it the other way around? Is just because of the city bidding more money than the other this time around? or is it something to do with maybe WWE saw the reaction and the fan base coming out of the Super Bowl being in Vegas this year, and they kind of wanted to stay away from that, or maybe give it a second thought before jumping into that same city in which the Super Bowl emanated from?
I think that WWE was there during Super Bowl week. I think WWE, holding the press conference, they're always, testing the waters and everything else like that. There's a lot to do in Vegas. I mean, there's a lot.
Yes.
A
lot to do. Wink, wink.
And I think that there's a lot to do here in Minnesota too. But again, when you see these type of announcements and you see the locations that WWE selects, if you go look at Philadelphia, that stadium is next to a baseball stadium and a hockey arena. There's really nothing else, and a casino, I believe. So there's really nothing else to distract you from WWE really basically taking over the city. The same thing goes here in Minneapolis, Minnesota. That stadium's in the middle of the city, and there's not much around it besides food and hotels, and the Target Center's, a couple blocks down the road. Realistically, you go to Vegas and there's a million and one things to do, and then there's Allegiant Stadium.
Yeah.
So I just think WWE was like, let's go to Minneapolis first, and then we could maybe circle back to Vegas. But I know Vegas, because of TKO, because of The Rock, because of UFC, Vegas will be a destination that WWE does head back to for WrestleMania, or they could have a Royal Rumble there, albeit that could be during an NFL season that the Raiders, maybe have a shot at hosting the AFC title game. So maybe they stay away from the Rumble, but we'll see.
Either way, I'm excited because, it's always fun to visit a new city. I've been to Vegas a few times, one personally just to go with a couple of friends, and then obviously I went to the first Double or Nothing. So I'd like to go back because I didn't really experience everything in Vegas for the 4 days I was there. I felt like I needed another 3 days at least. But,
are you serious?
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't do anything. It was just all wrestling. It was all wrestling related shit, man. I want to go see Zach Bagan's Haunted Museum. I want to go to the pawn shop. I wanted to go see Chris Angel live. It's a lot of things, man.
Okay. Yeah, well, I mean,
what are you giving me? What are you giving me weird looks for, man?
I mean, I know an Angel down in Vegas. I don't know if it's Chris, but I know somebody named Angel. But I will tell you, I've been to Vegas a bunch, and 24 hours for me, 48 hours in, out. Thanks. Yeah. Bye. Gas the jet. Let's get the hell out of here.
But I also haven't been to Minneapolis either, and all I hear is that there's good beer, there's good food, there's distilleries. I'm like, all right, yeah. I could get that coffee.
Not because I live here now, but I will tell you, when I first came out here, I was like, man, this place is fucking cold. And then all of a sudden, which it is, but you started to open yourself up to the city, and there are a ton of hidden gems in terms of food, very underrated. You could get any type of cuisine here that you want. And the bars, you like cocktails?
Yeah.
There's a lot of craft cocktail bars out here that are solid, absolutely solid.
Sounds like
so you'll be pleased with Minneapolis.
Sounds like a good time. I'm looking forward to it. I'll leave it up to you, man. I know we have just two more WWE notes here. We could talk about Vince McMahon and what was reported yesterday from Brandon Thurston and John Pollock of Post Wrestling, or we could go into the AEW discussion. I'll leave it up to you on where you want to go here.
Now let's end with AEW. Let's go to Vince. Go ahead. Vince for 500.
Yeah, Vince for 500. WWE President Nick Khan. I know some people were kind of alluding to this to me last night. I didn't know why people were bringing up Nick Khan, but then I seen the report and I got a phone call from Drew last night. Like, did you hear the news? I'm like, no. And I'm not really surprised, but WWE President Nick Khan and COO Brad Blum are identified as key figures in the Vince McMahon lawsuit. Now, President Nick Khan and Brad Blum, COO, are the men identified as corporate officers number 1 and number 2 in the lawsuit filed in January in federal court in Connecticut against the company, former chairman Vince McMahon and former talent relations executive John Laurinaitis.
That was good.
The suit claims that Khan and Blum, whose names have not previously been reported, were instrumental to a scheme in which the plaintiff, a woman, Janel Grant, was employed in a completely undefined role, except for the understanding that she remained a sexual slave, quote unquote, to be used and trafficked by McMahon within WWE. Khan, I'll stop there. We all know, Drew, I want to make this aware to everybody, no matter who's involved here. If they are involved in any which way, I do think that a punishment should fit the crime here. But I think we've alluded to how important of a figure Nick Khan has been to WWE business. I don't think WWE is where they are right now, as hot as they are without Nick Khan.
No, there's no question. WWE's biggest acquisition was Nick Khan many years ago. And I have publicly stated that whether Nick Khan is, I won't question Nick Khan's moral compass, but I will tell you that his business acumen and his business deals have been everything WWE could ever want and more. Now that comes with a price though. And I think what we're seeing is that price.
Nick Khan, a deal maker and a former CAA executive who earned a reputation as one of the most powerful men in sports media through negotiating billion-dollar deals for clients like the SEC and WWE before joining the latter as president in 2020, is now the top person in control of WWE, and McMahon is no longer there. He reports to TKO President Mark Shapiro and ultimately answers to Ari Emanuel, who took over as chair of WWE's parent company, TKO, after McMahon resigned in January following the suit. This is a quote from the article here that I got from Brandon Thurston. WWE takes Ms. Grant's allegations very seriously and has no tolerance for any physical abuse or unwanted physical contact, a WWE spokesman said in a statement. Neither Nick Khan nor Brad Blum, prior to the lawsuit being filed on January 25, 2024, were aware of any allegation by Ms. Grant that she was the victim of abuse or unwanted physical contact, nor does the complaint allege that either had knowledge of such. McMahon has said that the allegations in the lawsuit are baseless and that he intends to vigorously defend himself. A lawyer for Laurinaitis has denied the allegations but appeared to corroborate them by saying at the same time, like Grant, his client was a victim in this case and not a predator. Now, Front Office Sports immediately identified Khan and Blum as well as the two other anonymous corporate officers to whom the suit refers to by cross-checking the details of the suit against publicly available records. I don't know if her name was thrown around in this, Drew. Maybe you could correct me if I'm wrong, but Stephanie McMahon was also named in this. I'll stop there because I feel like with what I've already discussed on this topic, I don't think we find this to be a surprise. The one thing that I'm actually shocked by is, and I don't know if this is the case or not in this situation, I feel like Vince is trying to make a power play because he's running out of moves here, and he's looking to throw anybody and anybody under the bus. So I'm surprised to see Stephanie in this because, yes, we know she knows a lot and knew of what was going on, and the reason why she left was because of what she knew, and she didn't want anything to do with her father. But obviously things are coming back around here. Why would he throw his daughter under the bus like this? Of all people, his daughter.
I'm gonna pass on commenting on Stephanie just because I don't know the details and I don't want to assume things, nor do I think that Stephanie truly knew exactly what was going on. But I want to go back to what you said about Vince.
Yeah.
How many times have we seen, the devil is always in the details. How many times have we seen Vince McMahon fight with every ounce of his being and deny with every ounce of his being things that have come up or lawsuits that have been presented against him, steroids, this person, that person, all this other stuff? Vince will vigorously defend himself and deny all allegations. He did nothing with this besides put out a statement, and that was it. We have not seen Vince go on anywhere, television-wise, media-wise, nothing. And I get it. His lawyers are probably like, stay away. But that's how you know that, unfortunately, this stuff is real.
Yeah.
I don't believe Stephanie McMahon and Nick Khan knew that Vince McMahon was doing some of the things that he was doing in terms of the grotesque actions that Vince was doing. Nor do I believe that Stephanie and Nick Khan knew that Vince was passing around Miss Grant to maybe other people, as the lawsuit states. Do I think that they knew that Vince was having sexual relations? I feel like I'm Bill Clinton. Do I feel like Stephanie and Nick Khan knew that Vince was having sexual relations?
Of course they did. Yeah.
Of course they did. It's stupid. Yes, of course. Stephanie knew that Vince and his former wife Linda were no longer romantically involved. They were just staying together for, the public eye and everything else like that, because you don't really want to have that while Linda was running for this and doing that, still staying into politics. And also Vince was trying to negotiate billion-dollar deals and all sorts of stuff. A divorce doesn't look good. It looks bad. Looks like you can't stay loyal and you're not willing to, keep your promises. So you don't do that in business. You don't let that divorce get public until all the business deals are done, which they pretty much are now. But Vince fights and he's not fighting. I haven't heard anything from Nick Khan, but they did say in that statement that Nick did not know everything that was going on, which I think is key. I think that's why Nick will be saved. The same thing with Stephanie. I think Stephanie's coming back WWE? No.
The fucked up thing is Stephanie was asked to fill in as interim CEO by Vince while he dealt with the first Wall Street Journal article and the allegations that came out there. And then she stepped back because he weaseled himself back into power. So she was asked of Vince to do this favor, and now I just find it ridiculous that he's, naming her here as corporate officer number 3. The corporate officer number 4 here was Brian Nurse, formerly a general counsel and head of WWE's legal department. According to the suit on May 9, 8 months after he had been hired, he offered Grant a job 3 hours after having called her to discuss a legal role. The next day, the suit says Vince McMahon told her that he had ordered Nurse to offer Grant the job, and then McMahon sexually assaulted her for the first time, putting his hand down her pants without consent. That's what the article from Brandon Thurston said. So we got 4 names here. We got Brian Nurse, Stephanie McMahon, Brad Blum, and Nick Khan. I'm with you, Drew. Yeah. I don't think Nick Khan knew of the depravity that Vince McMahon was doing in the after hours at Titan Tower with Janel Grant and anything in his personal life. I think when he was brought in, I don't think he knew any of that. And then obviously he was brought in to conduct business. Now, I'm not saying that he didn't know of Janel Grant. He obviously did. He knew Vince McMahon was doing whatever he was doing as far as dating her. But he voted unanimously, along with others, to get Vince McMahon out of the seat, out of the chairman position. And then literally like a week later, 2 weeks later, they all voted unanimously to have him back in. See, that's where I get confused about this entire story, because when people want to blame Nick Khan, get him out, he knew this, he knew that. He was one of the first people, along with Triple H, to vote this man out of power and not want him there. So,
well, that's because Vince became, it's funny, art imitating life. Vince became very bad for business. Yeah. And at the end of the day, those men and women are going to do what's best for business. And at that point in time, Vince McMahon's name was not good for business. But to your point, Vince McMahon is not going to go down with a fight. And now, to my point before this, Vince McMahon isn't denying shit. No pun intended. Vince is denying that these people didn't know. He's saying they knew. And you want to know what? I'm going down. You mother truckers are coming with me. And that's what this is. Again, art imitating life. You're not going to kill my creation.
Yes.
I'll kill it. And I'll take all you rats with me.
I've said it for years. Vince would rather see his company burn and kill it himself than have it be run by anybody else. And now it's in the hands of people who know what they're doing that are not Vince McMahon. And he's sitting at home. He's fucking just seething at that thought. And he can't stand it. Triple H was not mentioned here.
The worst thing people could do before we get to Triple H, the worst thing that people could do that are involved in this is stay silent. Nick Khan should get a statement out there ASAP if he hasn't already, saying, I knew that Vince McMahon was having a relationship with Miss Grant. I did not know to the extent of which this relationship had gone to. And I would never, nor would I ever, condone those actions. Somebody should hire me as their goddamn PR
It's
rep.
fucking crazy, man. Now you mentioned Nick Khan. I remember, and I called this shit out when I seen it. Nick Khan was all over the media, podcasts, fucking video, news outlets. He was praising Vince McMahon up and down after they voted unanimously to get him out. They knew he was bad for business. Then they unanimously voted him back in. He's like, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Vince McMahon. Glowing about Vince McMahon. He put this guy over even in his darkest hour. And now Vince, like you said, is not going to go down without a fight. He's going to fucking burn everybody down to the ground. He's going to take everybody with him. After everything Nick Khan did for him, that's the type of person that Vince McMahon is, man. He's truly the face of evil.
Well, let's pump the brakes here a little bit. Who had the most to gain by seeing Vince removed from all of this?
Nick Khan, which is why I stated when all of this went down, I wouldn't be surprised if it's one of two people. Stephanie McMahon fucking told the Wall Street Journal, or Nick Khan was the one or he was the whistleblower that got everything started here and snowballed into what it is now.
Nick Khan and The Rock are on the board of directors. There's no such thing as coincidence here, number one. And I'm not sitting here saying that Nick Khan had, because I don't know this for a fact, but what I'm telling you is that everything that Vince held in his hands is now gone since the Nick Khan hiring. He has, although great for WWE's bottom line, Nick and Ari Emanuel have completely removed Vince McMahon and majority of the McMahons from WWE. Think about that. They have sold and they have been removed. And people play chess, not checkers. I've said this a million times. I believe Nick Khan has played the ultimate game of chess. And now Vince McMahon sees it and he ain't not letting it happen.
It's going to be very interesting to see. Triple H, like I did mention before, was not mentioned in this new reveal here. He was not one of the corporate officers in the initial lawsuit here by Janel Grant. I know a lot of people on social media were like, Triple H knows, this and that.
He was spared.
He was spared. Clearly, he wasn't named here, so no matter what, legally, you can't be blaming Triple H for knowing jack shit. Now, I'm not clearing Triple H. This is just this round of whatever was revealed here. He could obviously be revealed at a later date, but right now, there's zero, and I mean zero evidence that Triple H was involved in any of this. Meanwhile, he was out with a fucking heart condition while all this was even starting, and that in itself was something that I think a lot of people glossed over. And even when he was there, I was discussing this with one of my friends yesterday, even when he was there, when NXT was at the height of its popularity and Vince was probably still doing whatever the fuck he was doing, they operated separately. Triple H worked in Orlando most of the year. Vince McMahon worked in Connecticut, not saying that he didn't know who he was seeing and who he was dating, but they ran their companies like two separate entities. It was almost like NXT wasn't even a part of WWE, so I want you guys to factor that into this as well. But Triple H, for everybody that was at that post-show scrum after the Royal Rumble, why can't you talk about it, this and that? Clearly, he didn't fucking know anything because he wasn't named here, so I don't really expect everybody to give Paul Levesque an apology, but he wasn't named here.
No, I think Triple H was spared. Again, I think everyone knew, who was in that, tight circle. I think that, some things are better left unsaid, and I don't think Vince was openly bragging about how he's, doing things to Miss Grant. And I think that's probably where that conversation started and stopped. Did Triple H know that Vince was probably having sexual relations with other women that weren't Linda McMahon? Yeah, I think he saw that a lot in his tenure here in WWE. So I don't think that was anything new. They all knew. It's just they didn't know to the extent of what was in that lawsuit document or the filing. And that's where I think Nick Khan is saved, because I don't believe Nick knew everything that was going on with Miss Grant, Mr. McMahon, and Mr. Laurinaitis. I don't believe that Nick or Stephanie knew to the extent that things were happening. Nor do I think that Miss Grant at a specific time wasn't a willing participant and then things got weird.
Yeah. So this is obviously reached its next phase, guys. Vince apparently is not going down easy. Obviously, Mark Shapiro and Ari Emanuel have already stated that Vince is not in the office. He doesn't come to the office. He doesn't work there, and he's not allowed back. So as far as
there is a 0% chance that Vince McMahon is back on the board of directors of TKO. I could say that. And there's also a 0% chance that Brock Lesnar is making his way back to WWE before WrestleMania.
Well, which was the next point here, because this was reported literally before we went live on the air tonight with episode 39. Per Brian Alvarez of Wrestling Observer Live, there have been moves being made to bring Lesnar back. Alvarez said this today on Wrestling Observer Live. In the last few days, there have been moves regarding Lesnar. If you listened to the show last night with Dave Meltzer, everything we talked about is accurate, other than the roster page. There are movements to bring him back. I should add regarding Brock, I'm not saying he's going to be back. I have no idea if he's going to be back. I wouldn't bring him back, but I can tell you there have been inquiries made, and what that means, we'll have to wait and see. It seems like a bad idea to me. Let me put it that way.
So, breaking news here. Breaking news. There are plans to bring Brock Lesnar back. Breaking news. I'm not quite sure if they're going to bring Brock Lesnar back. I don't think they should. And I'm not quite sure that it'll happen. What type of fucking reporting is that?
It's ridiculous.
No.
I know.
Oh, Brock, there's plans to make Brock Lesnar back. Go back and read what you just said. Go ahead. What is it? How did Alvarez start? And then what was the middle? I want everybody to hear this. Go ahead.
We talked about this being accurate other than the roster page. There are movements to bring him back. I should add regarding Brock, I'm not saying he's going to be back. I have no idea if he's going to be back.
What? He's coming back. I should state that I don't know if he is going. What? I like Brian and I like Dave.
I think Brian's great.
Yeah, but and Brian has been at the forefront of so many things and has had some great takes, but this doesn't make any sense. Which one is it, dude? I can tell you right now, TKO has had a hard stance on Brock Lesnar. No pun intended. No Lesnar until this stuff is done and Lesnar can be cleared. We're just not doing it. And Brock Lesnar has not been cleared, nor has he been removed from any of the documents. And Brock Lesnar, who has not been named by name, has not even come out and said, this isn't me, or these accusations are not about me. Until that day happens, Brock Lesnar is not going to be on WWE TV. Sorry.
What good business would be had if Brock Lesnar's back on TV? I just feel that is a disaster waiting to happen. Like, why would they even think about it? I think he's done forever.
I don't know if he's done forever, but I will tell you that this is Brock. There are no plans. I'm sorry, Brian and Dave. Whoever you got it from, or because you started to do that whole thing that was on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia where they're like drawing lines to all this other stuff. And you're like, oh, because of the roster page, Brock Lesnar's come back. And blah, blah, blah. They haven't released an ounce of merchandise with Brock Lesnar on it. They've reduced all of his merchandise. And I could tell you that there are no storylines in place or stories regarding Lesnar returning. You would have already seen it. Number one.
I'm sure there's money to be made with Brock Lesnar still.
Of course there is. It's Brock Lesnar.
But would you, I'm asking you personally, do you think you would bring him back if you were in their shoes?
I think it's a loaded question because I think that if you do bring Brock back, I think we open ourselves up to the possibility, if I was with WWE TKO Endeavor, the money that could be made off Brock Lesnar is massive because he's still a big draw. He's a big name. But the problem is if we bring him back without denying or anything else of the accusations that were basically him without saying it's him, we could be opening up ourselves to Ms. Grant naming him by name and further sullying Brock Lesnar's, rep and everything else like that. And it could really make our stock take a nosedive. And that's what they care about. They do. That's all they care about is dollars and cents.
So, yeah, guys, Lesnar's not going to be back on television anytime soon. I think it's going to be quite a while before we even see Lesnar or hear about Lesnar creatively. There isn't anything personally from my point of view that I want to see Lesnar in. I don't want to see him wrestle again. I think we've seen all we need to see of Brock Lesnar. That's just me. But I'm assuming, like Drew said, there's money to be made. And if they...
Do you miss Brock Lesnar now? That's the one. All right. So is WWE missing Brock Lesnar? Like, is his absence very much felt on WrestleMania? No. I would say Punk's absence is more felt on this year's WrestleMania than anybody else.
I mean, the only thing realistically that I wanted to see him do was that match with Gunther. And after that, I mean, goodbye. Hit the road. I mean, that was all I really cared for.
Yeah, I think Brock was going into the Hall of Fame at WrestleMania 41.
Yeah.
So,
anyway, guys, we're going to get into some AEW talk here. We got a lot in regards to AEW, starting with the debut of Okada. Backstage reaction to Kazuchika Okada on AEW Dynamite last week, and him being paired with the Elites and the Young Bucks. Okada is now a heel, by the way, in AEW, as he joined Matt and Nick Jackson and their new heel personas. So far, internally, AEW is very happy with the move. Fightful Select and Sean Ross Sapp are reporting that recently the decision was made well ahead of even Okada signing with AEW, that the company wanted to bring him in as a heel with the Young Bucks. Sources that we've spoke to, said Fightful, say that Tony Khan has this idea as far back as around the holidays that once Kenny Omega was sidelined, they'd effectively fire him, quote unquote, from the Elite. Specifically, we've heard Tony Khan has long been of the belief, even before AEW, that Okada can be a major heel star on American wrestling television. Sources in AEW claim that this past week's performance has only solidified that, and the company considered it a home run. Particularly, Okada's facial expressions were in the spot and were well received. The hope is that in AEW, he can do different things than he's ever done before in the past, with an already decade-long track record at the top in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Tony Khan was also very confident in the chemistry that Okada and the Young Bucks had, something they'd anticipate based on previous work together. Now, I know I said I love this, Drew. I told you off the air, and I told you via text, and I said this as much on my show Wednesday. They did so many things right, and then when I went on social media, I seen everybody fucking just hate it for whatever reason. It wasn't big enough. He debuted in front of 3,000 people. The Young Bucks are garbage and all this other shit. What a terrible debut. But holy shit, man, it's like they didn't watch the show, or they watched it with fucking blinders on. They did so many things right in that segment. Number one, he came to America as the face of New Japan, and his first night in, they made him a heel. I love that they took a chance on him like that. First of all, he doesn't speak English, and the Young Bucks are going to generate heel heat, and that's going to be magnified on Okada because of the Young Bucks heat. So why not? It's a chance well worth taking. Number one. Number two, Eddie Kingston, who was previously interacting with the Young Bucks for whatever they got going on, came out to address them. He got attacked by Okada, which sets up an AEW Dynasty match at their pay-per-view between Eddie Kingston and Okada for the Continental Championship. Number two. Number three, Kenny Omega. They fired Kenny Omega from the Elite, which already has planted seeds for Kenny Omega's return feud when he comes back, hopefully by All In, and we get Kenny Omega versus Okada for the Continental title, potentially in London in front of 80,000 people at All In. I mean, what didn't you like about this fucking segment? They hit a home run with this fucking segment.
Yeah, I mean, you just really touched on it. Although I have seen you, and you know, you're my guy. You have started to praise AEW a lot, which I think is either a testament to what you're liking, what you're seeing, or it's because you got tired of listening to people say you just shit on AEW all the time. I'm going to go with the latter, but I will say this segment for people to complain about was ridiculous. JD had a very valid point here. What? Okada doesn't speak English, so he's going to be a face and not talk? Nah. Who has the biggest heat right now in the company? Who has got the most hate? If you could name some people, it's definitely the Bucks are at the top of that list. No?
Yes.
Okay. Perfect pairing. And it also makes sense.
Christian, maybe, but the Young Bucks are up there.
Christian and Okada, no
Yeah.
thanks. But you're right. Christian and the Bucks. We'll leave it at that for the most part. Joe, he doesn't really have heat. Not a lot of people hate him. So we'll leave it there. That was money because Okada has history with the Bucks. They kicked out Omega. So to your point there, it's story within stories. And all you jabronis wanted more stories in AEW, and you're getting it. Maybe that's why JD has enjoyed AEW's television more recently, because they're giving us something to sink our teeth into. It's the perfect pairing. They spent a lot of money on Okada. It seems like he's going to be state-bound. He's going to buy a home or something, or have residence here in the United States, and he's going to be available to AEW, because when you're getting that type of money, I'd want you available weekly too if I need it. So I think it's perfect. Okada and Omega, there's a possibility there when Omega gets cleared. We get Okada kind of breaking into the United States and AEW with backing from the Bucks, who could be his mouthpieces. And it's a safe segue here because, and it's a safe path for Okada, because he can work 2, 3, 6-man tag matches in his AEW debut matches. And realistically, he doesn't have to sit there and go one-on-one immediately. It's perfect. I don't understand why people hated it. Okada being heel is going to be very, very good. You just got to give it some time. Tony was smart with this one.
Yeah, and Okada being heel instead of being a babyface, the top of the card for AEW, babyface-wise, is pretty loaded. Look at what they have. They have MJF, who's not even there. Kenny Omega's going to be back. Those two guys are out right now, and they're obviously going to come back as a babyface. Will Ospreay is being treated as a babyface, even though he's with Don Callis. You got Samoa Joe, who's a tweener. Swerve, who's now officially solidified as a babyface. So why would you want Okada to be in that when he could be doing something else? And all those baby faces have a big heel with massive heat working alongside them in Okada. I mean, that's just the perfect pairing to me.
Let me interject here with the Swerve stuff. There is nobody that does content right now who's a bigger Swerve fan than myself. There isn't. I'm just saying that because I'm going to say this. I absolutely hated. I shouldn't say hate. I very much disliked his promo on Wednesday's Dynamite. And we haven't talked about it, but I'm saying that because Swerve is better served as a heel. I did not, and I understand he's getting cheered, but I did not like the way he came off in his face promo. I didn't. Keep him a tweener if you could. I just didn't dig it.
Yeah, I haven't really dove into that. I didn't dive into that aspect.
He didn't feel comfortable. It didn't look comfortable, JD.
No. Now that you mention it, I'm kind of thinking back to what happened there, and I think you're correct. But you did watch Dynamite on Wednesday, correct?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What did you think of the overall flow of the show? And I know a lot of people have alluded that I've been negative about AEW, but justifiably so. Coming out of Revolution, which I thought was probably their best pay-per-view ever. And just an overall, just unbelievable show. Maybe one of the best pay-per-views I've ever purchased legitimately for the price tag. And then we got Dynamite. I'm not saying Dynamite and AEW has turned the corner because it's only one show. If they consistently keep this up week after week for a nice string of weeks, then maybe we got something cooking here. But I just want you guys to understand that Wednesday's show felt different. The ratings did not, show that. And people were harping on the ratings and, Will Ospreay is a downer for the ratings and the Young Bucks are a downer for the ratings. Why don't you just fucking shut your fucking mouth and go do something else? Because clearly you don't like professional wrestling. Drew, the show on Wednesday started off with an in-ring promo, which led to somebody interrupting said in-ring promo. We got the impromptu tag team match that was made because Adam Cole came out there and Undisputed Kingdom, did their thing. Then we got Swerve and Samoa Joe, who more than likely will wrestle a Dynasty for the World Championship, teaming up against the Undisputed Kingdom, which I didn't really understand because I can't stand the can they coexist thing because it's just ridiculous. Don't know why they want to team up together. And then, like you said, Swerve looked like a dummy because he turned his back on Joe, and you don't do that only to get a coquina clutch in the end.
Well,
and then
that was planned. Yes.
And then we got Hook and Brian Cage for the FTW title, and they gave us a video package to give us a reason and an explanation why that match was taking place after the opening match. So it's like, are they growing up? Like, obviously, all the criticisms that they've heard, they're listening to, and they applied it, which I appreciate. And the whole show was that way. The whole show flowed beautifully up until the main event, which was tremendous, between Kyle Fletcher and Will Ospreay. It just was a different show on Wednesday.
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying the show has been different for, I would say, since January. I think the comment that I heard a lot from people, including yourself and Jesse, was Revolution was the best AEW pay-per-view ever. I can't make that statement because I truthfully don't remember every pay-per-view that they've done. They've done a really good job on their pay-per-views and everything else like that. If Revolution was it for you, great. I think it was the best that I can remember in recent memory.
All right, the best Revolution ever.
Oh,
maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to make that statement, but listen, I respect your two opinions. That's fine. You guys are, that's what you guys do, and that's fine. I'm not knocking it. I just can't tie myself to that because I just don't know. I'd have to really go back and dive deep into that stuff. But what I will say is, to your point, since January, I've been saying AEW turned a corner, and nobody would listen. Nobody. I said that they're making things make sense since the end, like it was like the middle of January, end of January. And I don't understand. Well, it takes time to get there. And they were doing that. They were doing that very, very well, in my opinion. Now a lot of people are seeing it. And I'm happy that people are starting to see it. I'm happy that people are watching AEW and they're like, okay, I see what they're trying to do and all this other stuff. But, to your point about the ratings, do they need to attract more casuals? Yeah, they do. But at the end of the day, the only people flying the ratings flags are the morons who believe that they are part of the WWE or AEW team. And I don't mean to be disparaging or rude about that, but realistically, I've said this ad nauseum. Stop worrying about the ratings if you aren't employed by that company. They're not going anywhere. So does AEW need to attract more casuals? Yeah, I think they lost a lot of equity with the casuals because they did a ton of start and stops, and they've gone away with that now. And I, for one, thought Dynamite last week and weeks prior was very entertaining. I've done things, I've texted people saying that. I won't name names, but I've texted people who work for AEW saying, your show the past couple of weeks has been very entertaining, and I'm thankful for that. And those people know who they are, and that's it. And that's the bottom line. AEW has been entertaining, and they've switched things. They've given you things you could sink your teeth into, and I'm thankful for it because when it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make dollars.
I agree. I love the show on Wednesday. I hope they can keep it up. I think Wednesday's show was the blueprint for how all of the other shows that they do from this point on need to be. It was concise. It was compact. Everything on Wednesday legitimately made sense and had a reason for being there. That's what I want to see on Wednesday.
The one thing I will say is that although I give Tony Khan a ton of credit for allowing or giving the green light to Darby to go climb Mount Everest, it's going to take a while for him to do that. And that's why I thought they should have dropped the tag titles at Revolution. But I understand, like, how do we do that and have Sting's final send-off? But Darby is going to be nowhere near the AEW television product for at least, what is it going to be, like 2 to 3 months? Maybe it's a good break for him after what he just came off of. But I don't know. That's Darby has a lot of equity too, and now that's going by the wayside.
Yeah, that's something fans are genuinely concerned about because his promo on Wednesday was very cryptic. He alluded that he may not return. So, hopefully he does. But he is wrestling on Wednesday tomorrow night. Big Business against Jay White, which would be a tremendous match. The Elite will wrestle Eddie Kingston, Penta, and Pac, who made a return on Collision to stand face-to-face with Okada. That's a 6-man tag team match happening on Wednesday. Willow versus Riho. That is taking place. There's a nice little storyline happening there with Willow, Stokely, and Chris Statlander. And then Hook and Jericho will wrestle the Gates of Agony. That played out on Wednesday as well. So it looks like everything that we've seen on Wednesday's Dynamite and Saturday's Collision is happening again here on Wednesday. And then we got the World Championship. Joe will defend against Wardlow, which I'll get to in a second because I'm curious to see how Drew feels about that following Wednesday's announcement. As far as the Big Business, Drew, and where Mercedes obviously is taking place in Boston, TD Garden. We're all excited to see her return. Where does she actually fit? I don't see her being in the women's segment here. Does she get her own segment? Does she come out and sign a contract? Does they do AEW bring her out as the surprise? Hey, we signed Mercedes. Or where does she fit in here?
So I think they have like a kind of like a vault. I'm going to give you just my creative process. I don't have any insight on how they're debuting her. I would have the show do its normal opening, and then all of a sudden I'd have a countdown on a vault, and it would be, a certain time. And then all of a sudden we'll get to like, it would be 9:30, 9:40 on the East. And that countdown clock would get to, I don't know, 5-10 minutes, however long they want to give her in that final segment. But that's how I debut Mercedes Moné. The vault opens and we cue to the arena in 3, 2, 1, bang. Mercedes Moné, she comes out, talks about it. I don't open the show with Moné. I don't.
No.
Because I want to keep those eyeballs on my product and stretch them until, the final segment. And that's just how it's been done year after, time after time. And I understand Tony's a big wrestling guy and he's a wrestling fans promoter. And I respect that and love that about him. But we got to keep those eyeballs on the product all the way through for the 2 hours if we can. I open with Jericho and Hook, the ending hour, the 9 to 8 to, I'm sorry, what are we doing? 9. So I go from 9 to 9:15, 9:20. I do the world title match, which we'll talk about. But obviously this is all about Mercedes, and I make the show all about Mercedes. Have the bank vault, have a countdown, and then have her out. That's what I would do at the end of the show.
As far as the world title is concerned, Wardlow will be challenging Samoa Joe. He won that match, that Denny's All-Star Classic match at Revolution. He's the number one contender. He's not winning the world championship, as far as I'm concerned. Where do you see Wardlow going from here, and what is the storyline? Are you still under the impression that Wardlow potentially wins the world championship and then hands it over to Adam Cole? Is Adam Cole due to come back? Is this all a big troll job? Or does Joe beat Wardlow and we just cast him off as just the same way we've casted him off for the last 3 years?
It's a very interesting way. It makes you want to tune in because realistically, like what happens with Cole and the Undisputed Kingdom and Wardlow? Again, some bald idiot said that this was the way that they should go for Revolution after we had Wardlow in that match and then the Cole dynamic with the Undisputed Kingdom. Yes, I believe Adam Cole's on his way back sooner rather than later. But again, it's an interesting story for the things that we claim online that AEW doesn't have. Stories they do. And the Undisputed Kingdom has regained momentum, and this is a big storyline that I'm interested to see where they go. Does Wardlow have Joe on the ropes and he's about to win and everything else like that? And Adam Cole's like, bring that world title to me, bring it home, like you're gonna hand it to me. There's a lot of things that they could do, a lot of twists and turns. We'll have to see where they go. I'm gonna let that one play out. But I will say a lot of people here in the chat are like, Mercedes is going to bring 1.5 million viewers to Dynamite. No, I love Mercedes, and the sky is the limit, pun intended, on that debut in AEW. But for them to get 1.5 million viewers, I will come on here naked.
Okay? Oh, stop. No, she's not getting 1.5 million viewers on Wednesday. Sorry. We'll cycle back to Mercedes. So where does Wardlow go, in your opinion?
I don't think they take the championship off of Joe, although I will say, like, if you really want to get some equity in the back of Wardlow's head to stay with AEW, maybe give him a little bit of a run, and then when Cole's ready, again, it sounds crazy coming out of my mouth, but there could be a title swap in Boston, and then that's when we get the whole, like, all right, you're going to hand me the championship? Yeah, when you're cleared. Yeah, it'll be yours when you're cleared. I'll just hand it to you. And then Cole gets cleared the next coming weeks, and Wardlow's like, nah, I'm not giving you this. And then it's like, wait, what? You're not sticking to the plan? And then we see the break. I thought the championship announcement was the match was very rushed. Just like I thought Danielson and Will was very rushed. But we'll get to that. So it's interesting to see what they're going to do. That's why I want to tune in on Wednesday. Not just for Monet, but for that world championship match.
I want to touch on Mercedes in a second, but I want to cycle back to what I have here. I did not mention this, and I'm very curious to know your opinion here. I know a lot of people made a big deal about Okada's contract with AEW, $4.5 million a year over 3 years. Why were people so up in arms about what Tony Khan was doing with his own money, and where and why he wanted to spend the money on Okada? What was your take when you heard everybody, oh my God, I don't believe he spent that much money and all this other nonsense? What was your initial take there?
I think, first of all, it's not your money. So let Tony Khan count his shekels and let him do what he wants with it. Again, you have to take the chance. You got to take the shot. And when these talents become available, whether male or female, and you are able to have a conversation with said talent and possibly bring them in, you bring them in. And Tony knows exactly what he's up against. He's up against a 50-year-old company that has a machine behind them that is doing the best business it has done in decades. And he has to maybe overpay, in a lot of you goofballs' eyes, to bring talent in. And so be it, he's going to do it. Less dates, more money. Did it work for WCW? No, it didn't. But AEW doesn't have Hulk Hogan. And AEW doesn't have Eric Bischoff. They have Tony Khan, and they have a roster full of talent that is just begging to be used. And again, money talks and bullshit walks. Tony gave Okada big business, gave Mercedes big business, and he gave Will Ospreay big business. And I think he's doing the right things to appease his fan base and also hopefully appeal to the demographic that doesn't watch AEW Weekly, which we all know as the what demographic?
The IWC? What?
No, what's the other demographic that doesn't watch Weekly?
Casuals.
Exactly. And AEW needs casuals. And this might do it with Mercedes if they book her correctly. But Tony's got to take the shot. And it's not your money and it's not my money. So who gives a shit? Just be happy you're entertained.
Well, let's on the Okada situation. I didn't really understand that. I was joking. I'm like, did he offer Cody Rhodes anywhere close to that money? Probably not. But I don't know. With what he paid Okada, who the fuck knows why Tony Khan did it? Obviously, he's trying to secure the bag for a TV rights deal. He feels maybe with Okada that gets an increase. Who the fuck knows? Who knows what AEW's international dealings are? He obviously still has a relationship with New Japan. He still obviously wants to take the brand and the company overseas. Okada's a major name everywhere but North America. So obviously that's going to enhance.
Yeah, stop there. Where is WWE not right now?
Japan.
They're not in Japan, right? So, and because of the relationship that AEW has fortified with New Japan Pro Wrestling, and now they just took one of their biggest stars, Tony's got to pay the bucks to get this guy over here, and he's done it. Tony's also, they're big into business in the UK. Will Ospreay, holy shit. That's their biggest, one of the biggest draws right now. Tony's doing stuff, and now he went over and got somebody from the States who's a big draw, which Mercedes Moné is. Is she Becky Lynch? Is she Rhea Ripley right now? No, she's not, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. But I'm just saying, Tony has taken stars from every piece of the country. Now he's brought it to All Elite Wrestling in hopes of securing the bag for their television deal, which I think they will do. And if Tony can operate in the black, which means break even, then I think you'll be okay for a couple years. But you cannot keep this formula, and Tony knows that. You cannot keep just throwing bags at people and not see a return on the investment.
That was my next point. I'm going to use your phrase. Here's the deal. The reason why Tony Khan paid $4.5 million for Okada, if that is the number, which I believe was confirmed by Sap, if he did pay that amount of money, he clearly did it to keep him away from WWE and not sway that decision to WWE side at all. He wanted confidently to say, I want you here. This is what I'm going to offer you. It's a no-brainer deal. Here it is. And he paid. Did he overpay? Maybe, to someone like me, but it's none of our business. But did he feel like he overpaid? For Tony Khan to keep Okada away from Paul Levesque, I don't think you could put a price tag on that, because he was never going to allow that to happen. And that's the reason why he offered Okada $4.5 million. But the thing is, Drew, like you said, you can't keep this formula up. This is not sustainable. When someone else's contract is up, I'm going to use him as an example because I know he's making a lot of money. Chris Jericho, Jon Moxley, Adam Copeland. If those guys want another contract with AEW and they're looking at Okada making $4.5 million, who's to say Adam Copeland's going to be like, hey, man, I want $5.5 million or I want $5 million. Like, you can't keep that shit up.
Yeah, we don't know a lot of people would be shocked if they knew what AEW talent was making. And that's not a discussion for this show or any show, because it's a private business right now. But I will tell you that the boys and girls are paid handsomely. And the one thing that I saw, which would piss me off and is something I wish would go away in this industry, is, what this does now is it gets your locker room talking. They already talk, but now it's like, man, Okada's got $4.5 million. Like you just said, man, I want that. How come hey, wait, you don't value me like that? I know Okada's got name value, but man, what about me? That type of stuff could be very detrimental to business. But I will say this, there is a lot of money that I believe, and I say I believe, I don't know, that is coming off of Tony Khan's books very soon. The Hardys, maybe Jericho, Paul White, maybe some others that they don't re-sign. I'm just saying there's a lot of money that is going to be freed up with maybe some of these contracts. And now Tony is looking at it, well, okay, this guy's coming off. Let me go ahead and spend money elsewhere. With all due respect to Chris Jericho, the money was well worth the investment in 2019. Here in 2024, Chris Jericho and AEW can mutually agree to part ways or not renew the contract. And I don't think Chris is missed that much in AEW. Has he given AEW everything he possibly can? Yes. Was he instrumental and huge in building this company? Yes. Without Chris Jericho, I don't believe AEW is anywhere near where they are right now.
No.
But in 2024, I think Chris Jericho can come off AEW's books and you'd be okay. That's not a slight at Chris. It's just, I think Chris is making a lot of money in 2024. And good for him for getting it.
Nothing wrong with saying the company outgrew Chris Jericho. There's nothing wrong with saying that.
Yeah. And I think Chris helped AEW get to where it's at, but it's time.
So that was another topic of discussion. Back to Mercedes. I said to Drew in the open of the show, game changer. It gets thrown around a lot. Do you look at Mercedes as a game changer for this women's division? I have been zinged on saying it in regards to others that have flopped, but there's only one Mercedes here. I do feel like she's going to make that entire division better. I think she's going to make everybody in the ring that she's with better. I think the stories will be better. But at the end of the day, and this directly goes out to anybody in AEW listening or Tony Khan, no matter who is in that company that may catch wind of this, it's not all on Mercedes. Do not pin it all on Mercedes. You have to make her look good, and you have to give her the content and the creative that is going to help her mold that division the way it needs to be, because the division is way too talented to be in the position that it's in right now. She's obviously going to help, but she can't do it herself. This is a woman who wants creative. This is a woman who wants to wrestle her ass off and give you everything she has. This is a woman that wants to make memories and make a difference and start a brand new revolution because she knows she can. And she can do that, but she needs your help. You can't look at this the same way you looked at fucking everybody else for the last 5 years and just put on banger matches for the sake of putting on banger matches. This is not, let's bring in Mercedes and put her against fucking Toni Storm and Britt Baker and Chris Statlander and Jamie Hayter with no story. You need to give this woman substance. Otherwise, it will fail and she will be like everybody else. And I don't want that to happen.
I feel like what you said was very well said. But what popped me, what made me laugh was when you were like, Mercedes needs your help. In the arms of the angel. That's what I was. That was the only thing that ran through my head, and I was like, "He's got to be shitting me right now." But to your point, yes, I mean, Mercedes won't be able to do this all on her own, but there is a lot of talent. AEW has 100% invested into the women's division, and now it's time to shine because they are getting their queen, in my opinion. On your chessboard, you're getting your queen of Mercedes, and you have a lot of other pieces, Deanna, Tony, Britt, all this other stuff. There's a lot of talent on this AEW's women's roster. So yes, Mercedes will be an intricate part in that if you book the right creative for her, just like Okada and Will. If you don't have Okada and Will Ospreay doing things that are meaningful and the creative sucks, doesn't matter. It's over.
Now, in regards to Mercedes, she was interviewed by the, let me see if I can find this name here, if I got the right name right here. The Kick Rocks Wrestling Podcast.
I love that name.
Monet spoke about her walkout, and she did allude to, Drew, I don't have the exact quote, but I did listen to the clip that was floating around on social media. She did say that WWE gave her everything. They gave her the life she has now. They gave her the opportunities. They got her career started. And we all know that. That's where she was basically created. Sasha Banks was created there. And she alluded to and said plainly that, it's not the end for me there. I will be back there someday, without a doubt. People were looking at this like, why are you saying that before your upcoming debut for AEW? Tony Khan's probably reaching into the refrigerator, grabbing another 6-pack of White Claw at this point. Like, I don't believe I gave this woman money, and she's already claiming that she's going back to the competition.
How do you people know Tony drinks White Claws? Bastards.
I don't know. It's just something that's been go on social media, man. Who knows what the fuck they're saying about Tony Khan. But the thing is, to me, I think us fans know that she's eventually going to go back there. So I didn't really find it to be a big deal. But I said, plain and simply put, appreciate her while you have her here. That doesn't mean because she said she's going back to WWE, she can't give her all to AEW. Appreciate what you have while you have her because you only have her for so many years. So why are you already complaining that she's going back to the competition? I hate her. I don't want her here. She wants to be there. Go there. She wants to be here. She's getting paid for what she does. Great. Here. Tony needs her. She understands that. So why are we making this comment the big deal? What'd you take away from this comment?
I mean, I think Mercedes doesn't want to burn any bridges. I think Mercedes, we could have done without this comment. I know.
Well, clearly there's a time and a place for it. Yes, it was a bad timing situation. Yeah.
Especially when you're, if I'm Tony, I'm like, man, what the fuck?
You couldn't say this in year 3.
God damn it. That's all anyone's going to be talking about. I can't catch a goddamn break. I offer you all this money.
What is he going to do? What is he going to fire her?
Right. No, you're not going to say anything. You're just going to have her show up in Boston and do what she's told. And that's, hopefully have a collaborative effort. And hopefully she's not, combative. She's collaborative. So that's what you need. And then realistically, it is what it is. I think Tony is just excited to have Mercedes, as is the rest of the roster and the fans. But yeah, I think we could have done without this. But realistically, I have my thoughts on the way Mercedes has done business, and obviously she's getting paid, and good for her. And I'll leave it at that.
Looking forward to Wednesday. Can't wait to see that woman back on television. But the comment was a little iffy. Could have been saved for maybe the end of her contract tenure there. But, she wasn't the only one this week that said something stupid. Kevin Kelly was on social media, fired by AEW, which Tony Khan doesn't fire anybody, but he fired Kevin Kelly because of some online backlash.
Is that confirmed that he was fired?
He was removed from the roster page. That's all that was stated.
Oh, we're pulling a fucking Alvarez and Meltzer here. Okay.
He's no longer with the company. Kevin Kelly said something on social media in regards to Ian Riccaboni, and he went into business for himself, saying that Ian libeled him, believed to perhaps be Ian Riccaboni. Obviously, there's only one Ian there that I know of. And pushed aside was Kevin Kelly when asked by someone on Twitter regarding him not being utilized more. And he said along the lines of how great he is and how critical it is to tell a story in AEW. Being in my position, I keep asking why, I get pushed aside. It's okay. There's no one better than me. X the ones that know, and they will tell you. And then he went on about some topic about the movie Sound of Freedom that I have not watched, nor do I care about. It was some fucking conspiracy theory movie, whatever the case may be. He went into this with some fans on social media and then got axed the weekend of Revolution. He was removed from the roster page. Now, I don't know if you watch Collision, Drew. Probably not. You maybe tune in every now and then. The commentary position on Collision wasn't really all that it was cracked up to be anyway, even with Kevin Kelly there. I love Kevin Kelly. I think he's great. I think he's knowledgeable as fuck. But at the end of the day,
it's Tony Schiavone now, right? I know it's Schiavone before I get crushed.
But I mean,
yes.
Kevin Kelly's voice and vibe did not fit the show, even though he's a great commentator. But neither does Tony Schiavone's. Tony Schiavone asked Tony Khan to do more commentary. He was supposed to give Tony the Rampage position, but he gave him the Collision position, which pushed Kevin Kelly to the side. Their commentary position on Saturday night is not really all that it's cracked up to be here. But Ian Riccaboni, that would have been his position because Ian...
Where is Ian?
He's doing Ring of Honor. He's the Ring of Honor guy, but it's a tape show. Ian has a real-life job.
I'm going to ask you again. Where... On over to Collision there, buddy boy. We're done with this Ring of Honor bullshit.
He doesn't want it because he's got a real-life job and he wants to spend time with his family. He doesn't want to be on the road every Saturday. So he didn't get it. But he's
Ian.
good. He's good.
I'm fucking paying you all this money. Show up to Collision and do your job. Sign Tony Khan.
Ian Riccaboni is a fantastic play-by-play man. He's better than, in my opinion, Kevin Kelly. Just me. Kevin Kelly was great, but Ian's job was that one. But at the end of the day, you could sit here and say he got axed because of his online outbursts. He's talking about sex trafficking and the Sound of Freedom, whatever the case may be about the movie. My thing is, this happened the weekend of Sting's retirement, and Tony Khan wanted everything to go perfect. And here we have a fucking problem with somebody that's employed with the company, and he's causing a fucking outburst on social media when it should be all about Sting and the company and celebrating Sting's retirement. Look at what we're doing for Sting. That's the reason why I believe he got fired. They just needed to cut ties with him, and it was the straw that broke the camel's back. I don't know what you make of it.
I mean, I think timing's everything, and I think what they wanted was positivity and a proper send-off for Sting. And if Tony felt like Kevin Kelly was trying to overshadow that, then sayonara, see you later. But again, Ian, TK here.
Yeah.
You work for us. Get the fuck to Collision, you son of a bitch. And that's it. Have a good day, everybody.
Tony Schiavone's not the answer on Saturday night. That's all I know.
I mean, what? I mean, like, come on. I mean, if I'm paying you to do, slapdick of honor, you should come over and do Collision because that's where I need you. I could put Joe.
Fuck that, man. He should be on Dynamite. Never mind Collision.
Well, but take it easy. We got Taz. We got Schiavone. We got Excalibur. I know a lot of people don't like Excalibur. I think he does a good job, but Tony's Tony. And Taz is my guy. Yeah. I've always enjoyed what Taz does. And, like I said, Tony's Tony. But Collision could use Ian Riccaboni and bring him over. You know what, Ian? Sorry, but if I'm Tony, your time is up on Ring of Honor, pal. Tell the family you love them, and they'll love the bank account.
Two more pieces of AEW news here, and then we'll get into your super chats. Shelton Benjamin has been contacted by several big wrestling companies here, and Fightful Select has learned that Shelton Benjamin and AEW didn't have contact initially upon his free agency. The two sides have recently had conversations and discussed the possibility of him appearing for the company. We haven't learned whether or not he'd sign a contract or come in full-time, or if anything is finalized, but the two sides have been in contact and have discussed possible appearances as far back as a month ago. What do you make of this, Drew? Shelton Benjamin and AEW kind of I could see working together, but out of everything that we've got going on, you want to add another guy to the company that really isn't going to make any much of an impact? I think he would probably be better off somewhere else.
You dogging on
yes, a
the
Minneapolis
gold
native.
standard?
Yes.
Ooh, the Minneapolis slander will not be tolerated, especially by Shelton Benjamin, who has easily one of the best entrance musics of all time, not to mention can wrestle a broomstick. Do I think that Shelton Benjamin could be used in AEW? Yeah. BCC. Why not?
I could see it. Yeah, I mentioned that a while back.
Why the hell
myself.
not? But it seems as if a lot of people in the AEW locker room, or at least Max Caster, from what I've seen, want nothing to do with Shelton Benjamin.
I don't know.
Why, I don't know. But, does AEW need anybody? No. But, I mean, he fits the bill, so I'd bring in Shelton. Sure. I think I could see him in TNA. I could see him wrestling in Japan. But, I could see Shelton Benjamin in AEW, and I would actually like it.
They'll bring him in, put him on Ring of Honor.
And just so you knuckleheads know, you wouldn't say that to Ian. I just DM'd Ian, tell him to get his ass to Collision. So I would, and I did. Okay.
We love Ian, man. I don't know why he's not on the road. I want to hear his voice every week. I do, but whatever, man.
Ian, get your ass to Collision.
What'd you call Ring of Honor?
Slapdick
of Honor.
I loved Ring of Honor as a high schooler and college guy because you saw Danielson, Punk, all that other stuff. But again, AEW has a priority position to do its best by AEW, not by Ring of Honor. I know they own Ring of Honor, but what are the three letters that are competing with WWE right now? AEW. It sure as shit ain't Ring of Honor. So, Ian, it's time for Collision, brother.
I don't know. What does he do for his kayfabe job is what I want to know. Tony, pay this man fucking 10 times more than what his employees paid him. What the fuck you doing, man? Holy shit.
I don't know. I mean, I have a really good job, which I'm super thankful for. But, if I had an offer that was above that and, I had to travel to Dynamite or Collision or whatever, and it made it worth my while, I would do it.
And listen, and family's everything, man. Maybe there's no price on family time for him. And that's a respectable thing. You can't really change his mind on that.
Oh, JD, there is nobody that you're going to talk to that values family more than me. That's what it is. I mean, that's why I have my gig now. I could be making way more money traveling, 300 days out of the year. I just don't. Yeah. Would I, if the offer was right? Yeah, but my goal was to make sure that I was around for my kids and still have a very good job, and that's what I'm doing right now.
And finally, guys, AEW Dynasty is taking place on Sunday, April 21st. Another pay-per-view for AEW live from St. Louis, Missouri. Ticket sales right now are already very well. WrestleTix, which does a great job of doing that, reports the show sold 4,418 tickets after they were put on sale to the general public last Friday, with 767 tickets remaining for the current setup right now of 5,185. The company drew 3,109 fans for a January 20th Collision episode in the same arena, which they're holding Dynasty. And there is 42 days up until the show takes place in St. Louis. So they are tracking very well there. So they'll probably open up more seats there, which is a great thing for them. But one of the major matches that was announced for the show already, Drew, is Will Ospreay versus Bryan Danielson, a dream match of fucking dream matches, epic proportion. We're getting this match on April 21st, and it started on Wednesday after the match with Kyle Fletcher. Will Ospreay was confronted by Bryan Danielson. They cut a promo on Collision, and the wheels are in motion there, and the match was made official on Saturday. Is this too soon, in your honest opinion?
Well, I mean, I put this out on social media. So to answer your question, do I think it's too soon? No, because I do believe, I want to say like yes and no. I hate being on the fence about things, but I will say that I do believe that Bryan Danielson's in-ring career is coming to an end very shortly. And I think this probably happens, I'm going to guess, after All In. Maybe he does All Out and then calls it a career. And they're going to do Bryan's retirement match. And I think Bryan stays on with AEW and works backstage. So I say that to say this. Do I think that it's too soon? No, they got over a month right now? Yeah, right?
Yeah, they got 5 weeks.
Yeah, so they could build something here. But I think Bryan is like, I want to wrestle him now. Let's get it done, blah, blah, blah. Could they have done this at All In? Yeah, but I think Will might have bigger plans at that London show, which we're going to sit back and watch. But again, Feels rushed, maybe. We'll have to wait and see what happens.
How much of it is AEW and Tony Khan needing to sell a good chunk of tickets right out of the gate to show that the new pay-per-view concept is successful, and they announced this match, which I don't know who, if you're a wrestling fan, doesn't want to see this shit live.
Well, hey, we just paid a lot of money for Will to come to AEW if I'm Tony Khan, right?
Yeah.
Let's see if this guy is actually a draw, not only in live events, but on pay-per-views, because that is the first match announced for the pay-per-view, and there ain't no such thing as coincidence, ladies and germs. That's what they're hoping will sell the pay-per-views, and it will, and that's what they're hoping will sell the tickets. 4,000 is probably a little bit less than they would probably want. Maybe if they can get to 6 or 7, they'd be happy. So yeah, we're seeing what happens. But that show is going to be built off the back of Will and Danielson, and we'll have to see where they go from there. Just like the conversation we had about pay-per-views a long time ago, the pay-per-views are mostly bought and sold off the back of 2 or 3 matches, and that's it. And that's one of them. So there you go.
Well, that's all I got on my end, man. If you got anything else, we'll jump right into the super chats. If you got anything else.
I'm pretty sure you hit on everything. Yeah, I think that's it, truthfully. Yeah, I think you covered everything. I had one thing on my list here, and you got it.
All right. Guys, thank you very much for hanging out with us tonight. We had 2,900 people in here on this Tuesday night for episode number 39 of TNT. Follow us on social media at JD from NY206, at Andrew Baydala on X. I'm also on Instagram, TikTok, and Cameo. Please hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on the bell for notifications. And make sure you guys go check out all the other content on the channel. Plenty of it. Make sure you guys...
3K in here.
There you go. Make sure you guys click the link. Get your tickets to the TNT tailgate. We'll be there WrestleMania Sunday, right before night 2, early in the afternoon. It's going to be a big party. Make sure you guys go and get your tickets. I left you a link pinned at the top of the live stream chat. And I will be live with Jesse tomorrow night. Mercedes Monday, debut AEW, big business. Going to be a big night. So,
what happens if she doesn't debut? What are you going to do?
I'll just quit podcasting.
Yes.
Just quit.
You know, and to JD's point, like, we have a really busy WrestleMania week. I don't know if you guys saw, but The Undertaker put his One Dead Man show on sale the Thursday before WrestleMania. It's sold out. He's charging $745 for VIP meet and greets. We are charging just what it costs to get to that tailgate, and everybody who's there will take pictures, will sign autographs, and do everything that you want them to do within reason in terms of a meet and greet. For that one price. We're not charging you guys anything extra to get into the tailgate and, you know, meet your favorite wrestlers or your favorite podcasters. So take advantage of that. Use the discount code. And me and JD are actually going to attend One Dead Man. I'm excited for it. Yeah,
we'll be there on that Thursday night. We're going to grab dinner, a drink, and then grab a couple more drinks and watch The Undertaker spew some great classic stories. So we'll be there for the Undertaker show. I can't wait. It's actually my first time seeing the show live. I did see Mick Foley when he was on tour. I thought that was fantastic, and I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I am as well. Should be a good time.
Michael Krause with a $2 super chat. JD and Drew, thank you both for everything you guys do. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Rob Bay with the 4 months. Almost at 1K subs on YouTube. Thanks to the hard work I learned from watching you, JD, over the last 7 years. I appreciate that, Rob. Continue the good string of luck over there, man. Glad to see you reach 1K subs. It's not an easy thing to do. Drew Gilmore with 19 months. What's up, JD and my fellow namesake TNT, to get me through the workout, my workout. Didn't get the internship, but I'm not giving up until I get that marketing job. Good luck, buddy, man. You're going to get it, man. You're such a hard worker. You always tell me, especially if I'm there or not, what you're doing and, you know, how you don't feel something's going to happen, and it always materializes, man. You got it. Don't worry about it. Kratos. 42 months. What's up, JD and Drew? Ordered my Go Google It t-shirt this afternoon. I'll be wearing it at AEW Dynasty next month. Much love, OTS for life. I appreciate that, Kratos. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moretz with 21 months. No message. Thank you, Moretz. Phantom 67 with 7 months. No message. Thank you, guys. Michelle Moran with a $2 super chat. Do you see Rock and his ego hurting creative? No. Not right now. It's not. It's the least of my concerns. Tribal Chief with a $2 super chat. JD, Drew, you guys rock. Thank you, Tribal Chief. PMAC.
I acknowledge you, my Tribal Chief.
There you go. PMAC with a $5 super chat. Do you think, with the rumors of Julia going to WWE, tomorrow, Mercedes could call her out for the title. Well, she's not going to WWE yet, and we do have Forbidden Door coming up, so it is a possibility. We'll see what happens, man. What Mercedes wants, Mercedes will get.
Anything is possible in All Elite Wrestling.
There you go. MGM 97 to 199. Top Dollar and JD in the same room. Popcorn emoji, laughing emoji.
Oh my God, will you guys knock it off? AJ Francis is a professional football player who played for the Seattle Seahawks, the Commanders, used to be the Redskins. Top Dollar, AJ is not going to like try and fight JD, and vice versa. Can we knock it off? Thanks.
JC720 with a $10 super chat. Hey guys, is this where they split the tag team titles at WrestleMania? Enjoying the show. Thank you, JC. I hope so. Something needs to be done. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with your statement. Yes, something needs to be done.
Scott Woodford with 12 months. I'm kind of burnt out of wrestling. Should I take a break? That's something you got to answer for yourself, brother. I don't know how you're feeling.
I don't know how I feel. Do I want wings? Do I want oxtails? I mean, that's up to you.
Yeah. Samuel Barrow with a $4.99. That Ronda tweet still echoes in my mind every time something really dumb happens. Bruce, any people that Vince can get use as a go-between. Yeah, I mean, with Bruce there, you know, he has avoided all negativity about what's going on here. So we'll see what happens with him. Kylan with a $4.99. How I see the ladder match. It will end with two teams coming down from the ladder, each holding one set of titles, causing a split in the tag team titles. Oh, my goodness, man. You're fantasy booking like a motherfucker there.
I don't know how that would work, but I don't hate it. Like, could we
I can see it.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you that the tag titles you're referring to, the new ones for each brand, have been made.
Senpai 35 with a new membership. Thank you, brother. And I hope you are well, man. Michelle Moran with a $2 super chat. Will people give up on Cody if he loses at WrestleMania? Potentially. But I don't see it happening. Angel with a $9.99. If Gunther loses the IC title at Mania, I think we should bring back King of the Ring for Bash in Berlin and have Gunther win that tournament, then have him go after the world title. Love you guys. I want the King of the Ring to come back regardless of where it is. That's just me. I love the concept.
Yeah, let's do that. But let's not make it like something where it's an insane concept. Like have it needs to mean something.
Yeah.
It needs to give me a world title match that, you know, the winner gets, or maybe an intercontinental title match or something. Because they already have the money in the bank. They didn't have the money in the bank when they were doing the King of the Ring.
Angel, thank you, brother. Matthew Rodriguez with a $4.99. What's up, JD and Drew? Love listening to you guys from the Bronx. Thinking of starting my own podcast with a couple of friends. Any advice?
Don't say anything that'll incriminate yourself, but yes.
Make sure you get a decent camera. If you're going to be on video, make sure you're on video. Don't just do voice. And like I always say, Matthew, to everybody, just be yourself, bro. Yep. Don't be fake, and just project what you like and what you don't like. And stay away from being what I call toxic positivity, man. It's disgusting.
Yeah, don't just like something just to like something.
Yeah, absolutely. Basic with a $4.99. Cody has to eat that pin. If Seth takes the pin, he's done. Yeah, I mean, the only one that's there that potentially is losing is Cody, for sure.
What?
Cody's
tag match?
Yes, Cody's taking the pinfall, yes. You think Seth is taking the pinfall?
Yeah. Well, we'll have a conversation. We'll make a bet off the air.
Sham World with the 17 months. I think Drew screws Seth and Cody on night 1. Then Seth beats Drew night 2. Then Priest cashes in on Seth. The next night on Raw, Priest era begins. If Priest wins the title, bro, it's going to be for a couple of weeks. He's not holding the title.
Yeah, it's very possible. But I think Priest's face turn is happening sooner rather than later.
We have Jack Lancy with a $2 super chat ×2. The Rock versus the cross-dresser at Saudi Arabia.
Seth Rollins, okay.
Sure. I could see it. And then
I tried to cancel Roman because of that comment?
Yeah. Meanwhile, he said the same thing like 2 or 3 weeks ago, but in a different context.
Yeah.
I'm not going down quietly, pal. Vince McMahon 2024, Jack Lancy. Yes, he's not. And nobody expected him to.
No.
Ted Turner with a $2 super chat. Yo, Ted. Glad you're a fan of the show, man. Viagra is better than Blue Chew. That's funny because Blue Chew has the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis.
Oh, here we go.
Vinny with a $2 super chat. Drew wants Cody to lose so bad. I think Drew just wants to see the world burn after WrestleMania.
No, I want to see quality entertainment. And if Cody wins, great. I hope you all stay on board when Cody wins, because all of you are clamoring for him to finish his story. And if that happens, I hope that you guys stay on board and are this loud and this invested in the whole reign of Cody Rhodes being the world champion, because I fear for what happens after Cody wins, because I think a lot of you will be like, it was great.
Yeah.
You know?
Ted Turner with the $2 super chat. Stephanie was so fine 2003, 2004. Yeah, she's an attractive lady. Thank you, Ted. Appreciate it. Jack Lanty with the $5 super chat. Brock's coming back. When or if he comes back, I don't know, but trust me, he's going to come back. Makes no sense at all.
All right, cool. Well, you know what? You're probably right. We could be wrong. I don't know. According to Alvarez and Meltzer, it's like yes and no. So, you know what? Let's just...
But people pay $5 for that, so...
Well, whatever. Why don't you guys hit the thumbs up so we can get to 1,000?
Yeah. Deontay Smith with the $4.99. Has anybody ever noticed the TKO takeover? Since the TKO takeover, the Dirt Sheet Riders don't know squat about WWE's creative plans. I mean, that's always been the case. WWE's been very secretive about a lot of things. No? No comment? Okay.
Nope.
Ali, $4.99. Hey, JD and Drew, I heard that Brock Lesnar is back on the roster page. Do you see him going one-on-one with Gunther next year at WrestleMania? Ali, I don't know.
We'll have to wait and see. I mean, again, TKO stance is no Brock.
Gavin with a 5. Did AEW address if Okada's still the leader of Chaos and buddies with Best Friends and OC, which happened on AEW TV, by the way? Who cares? Why do you want Okada with Chaos and Best Friends? He's with the Young Bucks now, which is a lot better.
Yeah.
Ali with a $4.99. And also, do you see Brock Lesnar helping Cody Rhodes at Night 2 of WrestleMania in the Bloodline Rules match? That's just my guess if Brock returns. No.
No.
No, Brock should be nowhere near WrestleMania. Jason Bark with a 5. Thank you, brother. I'm thinking about going live on TikTok for post shows. What investments can I make to roll this snowball and turn it into an avalanche? You're probably asking the wrong person, Jason. I don't know jack shit about TikTok live.
Get a good phone with a good camera.
Yeah. Ricky Cornflakes with a $9.99. This is what I made selling clams on the Texas shore. Thank you, Ricky.
That's what me and my old Italian boys back home called making money. You got made some clams? Good for you.
Clint Bonds with a $4.99. What's y'all's take on Sheamus and his WWE Twitter deactivation? Smart.
Yeah, Sheamus is coming back to WWE soon.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's breaking news, but they have plans for Sheamus to come back.
Lewis with a $4.99. Undertaker's show is literally next to my cigar lounge. Stop by. Drinks on me. I may take you up on that offer, Lewis.
Done. I'll be there.
There you go.
There you go.
Lewis, DM me as well, brother. I'm still making a decision on where we're podcasting, but I somehow lost your ad on X, so please DM me.
We'll 100% either stop by for a cocktail before or after.
Yeah.
Taker.
Mid-Mo Smark with a 30 months. About to start making a new OTS TNT sign guaranteed to be plastered all over AEW Dynasty. Great show, fellas. Always making Tuesdays must-see. Cheers. Thank you, brother.
Thanks, dude. I appreciate that.
Jeremy Lewis. Thank you, man. And Furious Nation with a 29 months. What's up, JD and Drew? Almost 30 months. I'm proud to be part of OTS and the OTS family. Thoughts on Tony D challenging Ilya Dragunov at Stand and Deliver? I love Tony D.
Yeah, I think WWE loves Tony D too. You're starting to see a lot of like little nuances that Tony D, they might have some plans for Tony D.
Tony D's great. I've followed him. One of the few guys I followed since the beginning of 2.0 NXT, and he's only gotten better. So good for him. I thought it was going to be Carmelo and Trick for the title, but clearly they went in a different direction. They're getting that match, but it's going to be Melo's last match, and Trick's going to go over. So should be a decent show, but I'm not watching it at 11 a.m.
Yeah, no.
Sorry.
No, and that, you know, a lot, my buddy, shout out to AP Anthony Perry, was like, I really want to go to NXT. I was like, well, then go. I mean, no offense to those performers, but I have so much going on Saturday that, you know, unfortunately, I just don't have the time. I mean, there are going to be so many of my friends and family at that WrestleMania tailgate. You know, Billy Igloo, AP, JD, some other people, EJ. that I just realistically like Corey Saunders. I don't know how people do all these shows. It's a lot.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of wrestling, but hopefully you guys spend it with us. And thank you for spending another Tuesday night with us on episode number 39 of TNT. We'll be back next week as always. Same time, same channel. Make sure you guys hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button down below, and please go follow us on social media. At JD from NY206 and at Andrew Baydala on X. Thank you guys very much. 8 likes for 1,000. No excuses. We'll see you
Play
guys
like a champion.
Yeah. No excuses. We'll see you guys next week.
Better hide, better run. It's a major malfunction. Don't you go to your knees with the power of the saber blade. With the power of the saber blade.
And we are off the air.